Oh, hey, kiddo. How was the hill?
Educational.
Oh, learned a new trick?
Yeah, the trick to a happy, fulfilling life, maybe. I learned that mountain air unleashes my inner peace, and rip and pow while the whole crew's all, yoo! Induces spontaneous joy.
Okay, that's nice.
The Icon Pass lets you do you at 50 destinations worldwide from $249 adult. Drop in for next winter now and save at iconpass.com.
Don't like them? Flacked them. That's right. Just right like that. Latro, Robert Garcia, Enzo, Johnny Slaymaker. How you guys doing, man? And Rock the Gas Bar is back. Finally, the lovely Kathleen Hughes. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. How you doing? Cecil, good to have you here, my man. And who else? Carfunibre. Good to see you, my friend. And who else is here? Let's see, because we are running out of time. Stunning Pam Smith. Good to see you. And the lovely Sonia's News. Always a pleasure to have you here. And we're done. Remember, the Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. If you're new here, hit that thumbs up and ring that bell because we are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Hi, George Hernandez. And, of course, you can get all of your SOR swag at spacedoutradio.com. Click on shop. We got some of the greatest and funnest swag that you will see on the planet. On the planet. Bash the Impaler, good to have you here, my friend. I hope everybody's going to have a good long weekend. Let's start it right now. Hordes up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a great show for you tonight. Tom Matt is here. He comes in to tell his life story about aliens and going mad. Then in hour number 3, we got another great story in the swamp, courtesy of Swamp Dweller. Super Duke has the cryptid report. I've got the Dave 101, and Shirky Poo has the news. Before he lost his mind, Tom Matt was a successful marketing executive, business owner, husband, and father in Atlanta, Georgia. He had it all, then he lost it all. He monumentally screwed up his whole life due to a cocaine addiction. His addiction led to mental illness that eventually landed him in a psychiatric hospital and ultimately left him homeless. For 2 years, he was lost, literally and figuratively. However, he knew how to write. His first book, Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness, provides a cathartic detail of his journey through addiction, insanity, and redemption. His illness, or perhaps the alien encounter that he had, always downplayed, changed Tom's vision and opened new pathways into his mind. There's so much more to this story, and we are so glad to have Tom Matt on the show for the first time. Tom, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Very glad that you were here, my friend. I mean, you're a guy who had it all. You had money, you had the family, you had the picket fence in the nice neighborhood of Atlanta, Georgia. You were a marketing executive, well-respected. And then what happened, my friend?
Well, what happened was I had I was addicted to cocaine before, but I had like 5-6 years sober, and I picked up again. This is going back 10 years now. picked up again. And this time when I picked up, something happened different in my brain. Like something happened, it took it to a next level. I, not immediately, but almost immediately became paranoid. I became delusional. I started hearing voices, if not hearing voices, having thoughts. And the thoughts that I had, I thought were real, and I would act on them. I would believe any absurd or ridiculous thought I had. At the time, I didn't think it was absurd or ridiculous. I just thought it was a thought, and I acted on it. For example, I thought my kids were like alien doppelgangers. Now, nobody could tell me anything different. You know, my wife's like, no, this is not the case. Everyone I work with are like, Tom, you're out of your mind. It got so bad that I thought I was being followed by the government satellites. I actually, and this is how my book starts. I started because I wanted to get out of the situation because I thought my business was even a front for a porn empire.
Oh my!
I mean, there was a lot of shit. There was a lot of stuff going down. My book starts with me trying to burn my house down. I literally poured gasoline all over the back porch, lit it on fire, and called the, I thought there was going to be helicopters over the house, and it was going to get, it's going to be a national story. I was really sick, At this point, my wife got scared, and she's like, listen, Tom, I think you need to leave. You're terrifying the kids. You're clearly unwell. And I did. I walked out on my business. I walked out on my kids, and I started traveling the globe. I just wanted to get away from. I emptied, staying in 5-star hotels, emptied the bank account. I literally just walked out on a successful business and the family. Should I stop there?
Let me ask you this right off the bat, because a lot of executives and people who are in that fast-paced downtown marketing business type of jobs, it is extremely stressful. You're always having to be in the game. There's never a time off. Was that what wore you out?
Well, it's funny. That's a great question. And some people who do cocaine, it actually does the opposite of what it does for other people. It actually helps us focus our mind. Where people have a lot of energy, this can do the opposite. So, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. And I, when I did drugs, I could focus more. But actually, I started hyper focusing, and it got out of control. And then some other things happen. I mean, this is where my story goes. Other things open in my mind, other pathways open that didn't make any sense. I mean, and my brain was scrambled, literally, and my logic, everything I had was so absurd. Look, again, when you're in it, it's not absurd. I was homeless, and the guys literally, just like the guys you see that you either give $5 to or you ignore them and walk past. I was like that for 6 months, but for the grace of God, I had a friend in my story who's actually a priest. He called me once a year, right? And he called my wife. He's like, listen, I don't know where Tom is. And she's like, nobody knows where Tom is. He's somewhere in California. He got a hold of me, and and he's, listen, we're going to fly you to New Jersey. We're going to get you out of the, Santa Monica homeless place. And I went up there, and he got me counseling, and that's when it started to get better. And that was after traveling in the globe in 2012. This was December. It started in January. Actually, it was November, Thanksgiving. It started in January. November, I fly to New Jersey, and I get better. A lot of things happen in between that time. I mean, I went to a treatment center. It didn't take. I had to hit bottom, and hitting bottom was being homeless in L.A.
Wow. I mean, the honesty and the integrity that you were telling your story, are you proud of the way your life went looking back on it because you needed that harsh lesson?
The reason I tell the story is, listen, I want to connect people. I think I've always said, if I can get better, anybody can get better. I was as bad as, you can get. If I can get better, anybody can get better. But the real reason I wanted to tell the story is what happened afterwards. Because in my book is the first 2/3 are my addiction, my mental illness, and how my brain changed. The last 1/3 is my realizing that my brain had somehow become different. Something opened in my mind. I mean, I call it in the book a constant state of hallucination. It's not really that, though. I've learned that it's not hallucination. I'm actually seeing things that other people cannot see, or very few people cannot see. And over the last 9 years, I've emailed over 100 neuroscientists, academic researchers, asking to get into a lab so they can study my vision. And I finally had a doctor at the Smith Kettlewell Eye Institute about 3 years ago. She said, your story's fascinating. We've seen some things like this. Let's get you to San Francisco. It was going to happen, but COVID hit. So that kind of put the kibosh on that. And even since then, I've done more research on it. And I shifted gears a little bit because I'm like, you know what? I told myself in the beginning with this, what happened to my vision, I wanted to stay away from the new age because I figured if I went to the new age side and the paranormal side, remote viewing, astral projection, lucid dreaming, it would, the traditional academic scientists, you know what I mean? They wouldn't pay attention. So I literally didn't talk about that when I emailed these people. Now, I talked about it when I spoke at mental health conferences because I wanted to tell my story, but when I wanted to do research, I wanted to stay away from it. Well, come to find out, that's the place I probably should have been looking all along, because these guys are like, listen, this isn't as unusual as you might think. Other people are doing it. So now I'm starting connecting with people who kind of get what I can do, and it's really nice.
Tom, going through what you went through on a personal level and the way it shifted your brain, you've said the word it a couple of times. So I'm going to ask you, what is it?
So a few things happen. The three things happen with my brain change. One of them is I can separate, let's call it a psychotic thought from a normal thought. Okay. So before, if I would have all the thoughts were clumped together and I would act on them. Now my brain can pick up that the thought that might be a little unusual coming from outside is a little different than an inside thought. Now there's something in the UFO community called Tyler Protocol. So when you're getting a message from the outside, it feels different from the message on the inside. I think this is the same thing. That's number one, first thing that happened. Second thing that happened, I became obsessed and fascinated with mathematics because I would see all these topological spaces, all these mathematical geometric spaces. They would change shape. Some were consistent, some were different. So I became obsessed with that. And the third thing, and this is the one that's the doctor wanted to see at the Eye Institute, is I call it upsight, which is I can manifest any kind of, I don't even have to manifest. I don't even know what I said. It's manifested. So you and I are talking right now. I'm going to shift my attention now. I'm going to look at the screen I have over here, and there's going to be something playing there in my field of vision. I'm actually seeing it, right? So my pupils are dilating. I'm focusing on it, right? My muscles are straining, but nobody else can see it. So it's not just coming from in my head. It's there in this luminous ether or whatever we want to call it. And this is to me, the most fascinating thing about everything that's happened. There's always images there. Once I concentrate on it, I can change the image, right? I can have a dialogue with it. It's incredible. So that's kind of the lucid dreaming side of it, for lack of a better word. That's the most related. The next level, from my perspective, is the remote viewing, because that's farther away. And then the eventual farthest away, which I've done all of these, and I can do all of these, is the astral projection.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is.
Yeah.
So it's fun and it's wild. And I also think other people. So here is my hypothesis, and I'd love to get into a lab and prove this. So I'm telling you I can see this, right?
Yes.
If somebody else has this same thing, right? If they have the same thing I do, and it literally is there, that means, if my hypothesis is right, somebody would be in the room, they would see the same thing I'm seeing.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, well, that's what I think too. So that's what I like I said, I want to study this. I can do it. I can do it on demand. I don't have to wait for it. I don't have to be hypnotized. I don't have to take drugs, which I've been clean 9 years. So thank God for that.
Congrats.
I don't have to take drugs. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, and I think I can communicate. This is another hypothesis. I think if somebody is tripping on mushrooms, because when people are on mushrooms, they have group hallucinations. I think if I was in a room with them, we would all see the same thing. They can't repeat these tests because some guys, everyone has to be in the same state. If I'm the one that's sober, and I'm seeing the same thing they are while describing it, it gives it a little heft because somebody that's not on drugs is actually saying they see it. Again, these are all ideas I've had, and I would love to just test them out.
Well, for you, when your brain started opening up to your own clairvoyance, I mean, were you a believer in psychic ability or intuition?
I wasn't a believer or a skeptic. You know what I mean? I would hear stories and I'm like, that's interesting. You know, after this happened to me, I'd become a believer. If somebody's going to tell me a story about something they've been abducted or anything, I am all ears. I'm listening because it's why would they make it up? Now, maybe somebody would, but I trust people want to explain what happened to them because I know things that happened to me. And, it's funny. I did downplay I talk about the alien encounter, and I wasn't abducted. This is what's really interesting. I wasn't abducted. I don't know if these aliens or extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings took advantage of me because I was in a weakened state and they isolated me from my family, or I was isolated to begin with and they found me. I'm trying to still figure that out.
Wow. Who do you think saved you?
Oh, my wife. Yeah, my wife and God, yeah, for real. But my wife was there. I mean, even when she wasn't there, even when she hated me, you know what I mean? She still didn't, even when I was telling her I'm homeless and at the bottom, she didn't want to, she was still would do anything because she wanted me to get better for our kids. I've got two boys at the time were 12 and 14. And, my oldest one was my arch enemy. He was so angry at me for the longest time. We're extremely close now. I'm close to both my kids because I got better. So that's one of the things I like to tell my story. If I can get better, you can get better.
Okay.
That's huge.
So let's get into this because this is where I get intrigued because for a number of people within the last 8 to 12 years that I have noticed, there has been one way or another spirit or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, kicking people in the ass and waking them up with these type of supernatural phenomena, whether it's extraterrestrials, whether it's the paranormal, whether it's channeling, near-death experiences, you name it. And for you, you kind of fall into that timeline with a lot of us, myself included on that. So when you woke up and you decided that you could all of a sudden start predicting things and seeing things that normally you wouldn't pick up, how did you start questioning yourself about whether or not this was happening?
Well, first of all, by being clean, I wanted to make sure my mind was okay because I did have to go to a psych ward. You know what I'm saying? So that was the first thing, to know that I really wasn't mentally ill. Once I put the drugs down, the bipolar, the schizoaffective thoughts were gone. But the intriguing the mental, the changes in my brain were still there. So I had to make sure they were consistent over time. You know what I mean? I had to make sure it's like, okay, I'm not doing any drugs. And I went to, again, emailing all these doctors. I emailed these people that study hallucinations and these academics. They didn't have studies, but some of them would write me back and say, hey, listen, your brain is a normal function of, it's like a survival skill that your brain has for all the stuff you've been through. And I'm like, okay, that sounds reasonable. That sounds reasonable. Your brain is trying to make connections to things because all the drugs you've done let me be clear, I had 2 MRIs and there's no damage. When I started having hallucinations, I thought there was going to be a tumor or a lesion because I've seen so many TV shows when somebody can do something that's extraordinary, there's a horrible biological reason. Both MRIs came back negative. I haven't even had a stroke, no brain damage or anything from the drug use. And what's another interesting thing, and I know I'm jumping all over here because there are a lot of interesting things.
That's okay.
The second time I was in the MRI, I thought to myself, I want to test if I can do the remote viewing in the upside. Because, the magnets interfere with a lot of stuff. I was like, these giant magnets are spinning around. And if it's electromagnetic spectrum, part of that, it would interfere with it. And maybe it wouldn't let me do it. No, the magnets had no influence at all. And I could do business as usual. So that got me thinking, okay, maybe this is outside the electromagnetic spectrum, and that's the path I've been on since then. I think what I'm seeing is outside the electromagnetic spectrum. I think it's something to do with the dark matter and how it interacts with gravity. And I know I'm doing a little bit of science here, Dave.
No,
we don't
that's
want to
fine.
do science here. Okay.
No, that's completely fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I think they say the dark matter that the matter we know is made up 15% of all the matter in the world. That means 85% is made up with dark matter or dark energy, and that interacts with gravity, but we can't see it in the electromagnetic spectrum. That's why it's called dark. So my hypothesis is just like we have photoreceptors in our eyes that pick up the light flashing off of matter, or I think I might have some kind of gravity receptors in my eyes that pick off of the stuff that's coming off of dark matter. Again, all these are hypotheses because I think about this a lot because it's so extraordinary and nobody can give me an answer. Let's be clear. No one has an answer to what I'm seeing.
I want to ask you, you have changed so much that you have actually caught the attention of physicians and brain surgeons and psychologists regarding this.
Oh, yeah.
How did
For sure.
How did they take notice?
Well, some of them just tell me they're not doing research on this. Some of them say it's extraordinary. We're not doing research. I've been invited I was going to speak at a hypnotist convention. A scientific academic convention in Europe. But again, all this stuff got shut down. Everything was supposed to launch in 2020. My book came out. I have a speaking tour at mental health, at all these mental health conferences. Kiboshed. All that was kiboshed. So, and as I've come out of it, I've shifted gears and I've gone into the UFO side because of, I heard our defense, Avril Hines, the director of defense, saying we're studying UFOs and UAPs. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that part of it I should look at and give it way more credibility than I did before, and that's what I've been doing since December, very short time. And I'm on UFO Twitter.
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
Looking for a fun, family-friendly getaway? A nice adventure? Come have a blast at the West Baton Rouge Convention and Visitors Bureau Kite Fest, Louisiana. On April 30th and May 1st, come out for kite flying, huge fireworks at dusk on Saturday night, inflatables, workshops for kids, food vendors, and much more. Bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, and spend an amazing weekend at Kite Fest, Louisiana. Exit 151 Rosedale Road. Find events at westbatonrouge.net and like us on Facebook for more.
Meeting all the people on UFO Twitter. And I got to tell you, that's the place to be.
You poor thing. UFO Twitter. Oh, my God.
That's for sure.
Oh, my. Just shake my head.
When people aren't fighting, there's nuggets of really kind of cool stuff in there.
Oh, I totally agree with you. You just got to get through the nut bars in order to get through to the information. Yeah.
People have agendas on there. And if you can look past the agendas, there are people like me looking for answers, and sometimes you connect with them, and that's where I am now. I'm still looking for answers because I want to get in a lab and do this. I want to do it. I want to prove it. I want to do scientific. It's repeatable again and again and again. And we're talking about the woo side. This is the woo train. I live the woo every day. And the woo is supposedly described by it's subjective and you can't measure it. That's nonsense. That is absolute nonsense.
Well, I tend to think it is as well. And anybody, who says it's funny, that's totally what our Dave 101 is in hour 3 tonight about. It's about the woo. And people on UFO Twitter ripping into experiencers. And that's something that I take very personally because I find too many people who've never had an experience are trying to judge those who did and pretend to know better than those who have experienced some sort of the phenomena. With 1 minute to go, how has your family reacted to these supernatural changes that they see in you?
They're okay with it now. It took a while for my wife to get on board because she thought it was going to lead back to the, you know what I mean, the psychotic behavior. But now it's been so long. Yeah, it took a while for her to get used to it. And I talk about that in the book. I talk about the healing in the book, and everyone's down for it because I've been healthy for a really long time. That's why, you know. So they're intrigued. They want me to get answers. They're intrigued. They want answers too.
Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. And you know what? The main thing is you've been able to reforge those relationships that you caused issues to way back in the day. And I mean, not a lot of people get that second chance, Tom.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I count my blessings every day.
Right on. Tom, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. What's it like to baffle doctors, psychologists, and all of a sudden start making predictions? Start making supernatural inquiries. Is it extraterrestrial? Is it all part of the phenomena? Author Tom Matt is here. His book, Jesus Goes to Hollywood, A Memoir of Madness. You can find it on Amazon. Spaced Out Radio continues with the second half hour, coming up right after this. All right, we're clear. We're good for 5 minutes.
All right.
That was a
You doing
fast
good?
half hour, man. Fast half hour.
I think that's good. That's good.
So far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I like the idea about the predictions. I will talk about that when we get back on because I want to give you a kind of like an analog of how I see it. You know, when we talk about predictions, because sometimes during upside, well, I'll talk about it. I'll wait till we get back on.
For sure. For sure.
You got a lot of loyal followers, don't you, and watchers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're about halfway there tonight.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're about halfway there, so it'll be good.
Excellent.
All right. Give me 2 seconds here. And... let's see here.
If they want to ask questions, let me know too.
Yeah, my audience is smart and trained enough that they know the questions we ask in hour 2. Hour 2 for the list.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I've got them trained. It took a while. Thirsty Alien, how you doing? Chris Mo in Austria, how are you? Let's see, who else has jumped on in here? Oh, the gorgeous Amy WC. What's up, freak? And who else? Oh, the lovely Jan. She prefers a soft J. And the stunning Lala B. Good to have you here. Toe Tag, thanks for coming on in. Saves me from having to type it out. Oh, the gorgeous Science Melinda has arrived in Australia. How you doing? Long time no see. And Pharmacy, good to have you here. Steam Train Mark in Australia, thank you for letting me know that I am alive tomorrow. Thank you. This is the benefit, Tom, of having people who live in the future. You know?
Yeah.
It just works for us that way. All right. So
yeah.
Who said hi to me here? I always get confused with this. Let's see here. Nope. Not that one. Let's try this one. Oh. Hi, Katie Grabowski. You look good in your Cubs uniform tonight. Just saying. John Grassi, how are you, man? Davey Wavy, good to see you. Good job on maybe check your boxer shorts after that one. Just saying. Let's see here. Anybody else? I think we're good. We got about 2 minutes.
So how far are you above Oregon? Are you like right there on the coast?
Let's see. I am. If you say you're in Portland, I'm about 12-hour drive from Portland.
Just straight north?
So there is literally between my house and Tijuana, there is 5 turns. 5 times you got to turn your signal on to get to my house.
Wow.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. Oh, there's the lovely Katie Grabowski joining us in our chat room. By the way, she's good people. Very good people. I don't say this about many people, but she may have nicer hair than me. She may. Just saying. Philip Baca, how you doing, man? Good to have you here. Bill WD40 in the Spreaker chat room, along with gorgeous Ronnie. Nice to see you. Pedman, I know you're hanging out somewhere. And reminder to all of you that the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. 1 week from today, we will be off air for the weekend because we'll be in Las Vegas, except for Saturday when we do the live show there. That's going to be a lot of fun for the SOR party. We'll see some of you there. And do a little shopping at our store, spacedoutradio.com. Got some cool stuff on there now. Yes. Cool stuff on there. It's the way we roll. It's the way we roll. We got like 15 seconds. 15 seconds. And 10 seconds. Katie, do me a favor. Check your Facebook Messenger. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you earning and listening in to us and us earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with author Tom Matt. He's got a book out. You can get it on Amazon right now called Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness. From the business world being at the top to going homeless to coming right back with intuition. It's a fascinating story. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. Your intuition starts to kick in. And like all of us who go through that, you're questioning, is it your sanity or is it your own mind playing tricks on you, or are you actually starting to get these visions, these premonitions, and everything in your head, and you're just taking it and noticing the accuracy on it? What happened?
So what happened is things settled down. Okay? Things settled down. So what I would have had a thought when I was psychotic, now I have a thought and I can process it and it can be helpful. You know, what used to be a psychotic and delusional now is more like creative, you know? So intuition is a great word. So with the way my thinking and ideas, the intuition, some of them I ease into. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this because I know it's the right thing to do. Now, what's really interesting, so that's one piece of it. What's interesting with the upside, so when you have these visions, so like I said, I can see it. And just, I don't know if anyone's thought this, but if you have this, I'm watching the Kentucky Derby when I'm coming out the first year. And I says to myself, all right, let me see who's going to win this race. So I have upside vision, and this thing that runs the whole race. I pick the horse. I'm like, holy cow, I'm going to pick the horse. It's going to win. So the whatever I saw, the race that was run in this weird ethereal place was not the winner. So this doesn't tell the truth all the time. That's what's really interesting. It doesn't tell the truth. Okay, that's first. Now I had to learn that right away. Secondly, sometimes I'll see something very bizarre, like this just happened the other day. A squeaky wheel on a cart when you go grocery shopping.
Yes.
Those annoying things
Drives me
right?
nuts.
And I see it hitting a foot, and I'm like, that's just a weird thing to see. The next day, a woman hits my foot with her cart. And I'm like, okay, so that now you're like, okay, now I'm like, why? And why do I need to see that? First of all, that's not what I want to have a premonition on. That's just weird, right? So that's really interesting. And I think what happens is this. Again, all these are just thoughts. I think, have you ever noticed if you're driving down or walking through a park and you've got a big high rise in a major city and a big, let's say a 50-foot office tower or a hotel is overlooking a very cool pond, right? So you see the reflection of the tower in the water, and you're walking towards this physical tower, but you see the reflection in the water, and you're walking past the reflection. As you're getting closer, the reflection is still there. You're still not at the tower, but you're walking towards it. I think kind of this is what the events are happening, and I'm seeing some kind of reflection coming off of something. That's the best thing I can use to describe how I think about it, but I hope that helps, I hope that makes sense.
I think it does, because, you have to be able to define what your brain is going through and whether or not. See, that's part of the issue that I have had over time is I don't trust myself. I don't trust that it's a message. I keep thinking that it is imagination that I am fighting on a daily basis. How did you stop the fight for yourself and just let the message come through?
I'll tell you, the more I trusted it and let it be, the better I got at it. So you're letting it go. By letting it go, I got better at it. Yeah, that's good. And trusting myself again, because in the beginning I had this weird thing and I didn't trust it, or everything I believed. It's not like everything I stopped believing, but I became more critical and more thoughtful. I'm like, wait a minute, way, way more thoughtful. I would pause, it's almost like I went from high gear to extremely low gear. And the things, these images, these thoughts, these still came in, but I didn't have to act on them. And don't get me wrong, I would have negative and bizarre and these untrue thoughts still come in. They still come in, but I'm like, oh, that's just nonsense. That's crap,
I understand that. My problem is, I will have these situations, maybe you do too, and maybe a lot of our listeners, where I will have, I don't want to call it a premonition, but I'll have a thought on something, okay, and I will concentrate, and it feels like it's going to happen. Then I blank out on it for like 3 weeks, and then it happens, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why didn't I say something? I knew that was going to happen. This would have been a good experiment for myself that I've absolutely now ruined again, and now I got to wait for the next one. Like, do you have a lot of that happening?
Well, no. Well, let me ask you on that. What would you have done? So I do have that. So what would you have done? So that what action would you have taken that you didn't take?
I don't know. I really don't even know how to answer that. Right?
Well, because obviously you were right. You know what I'm saying? The thing you said it was going to, it's like, so maybe, I don't know. I can't answer it for you, but you're like, you were right. Yeah. Sometimes someone will ask me something or like a something that seems to be meaningless, and I'll answer like flippantly. I'm like, no, I'm not interested. And then I'll go do something else. And I'm not kidding you. Then all of a sudden it's like, no, Tom, you need to change your mind on that. Now, that I have no idea where that's coming from, but I'll go back and say, you know what, I've changed my mind, let's do it. Or I'll say, let's go. Now, that to me, I don't know. I just know I'm supposed to do the thing that at first I said I wasn't interested in. And those have proven, they don't happen all the time, but when I do notice them and I do it, they always prove to either not necessarily be rewarding. They're not like they're all super wins, but they're all meaningful. without a doubt.
Well, the one thing that I had to learn the hard way, and I call it the soul voice, that little voice in your head that tells you to do things or not do things, and you know you should be following that soul voice, and we never seem to. It kicked my ass one day where I almost died because I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I was actually, I went ATVing with a couple of buddies who I'd ridden with before. They weren't best friends, but my best friend, who I normally went riding with, who I trust with my life, we'd been best friends for 25 years at that point, he couldn't make it. So these other two guys who I'd ridden with before were like, let's go. And the entire ride up to the mountain, the 90-minute ride, that little soul voice kept saying to me, turn around. Today is not a good day to ride. Turn around. And I hadn't ridden all winter, and I was excited to get back into the mountains. So I get to the spot, we unpark, I'm the lead bike, and we're taking this mountain trail. We come to this washout, and it's only about 8-10 feet across, nothing that we can't get through. And that little voice, while we were riding, says, get out, stop this, turn around, go home. Didn't listen, wanted to ride. Get to this washout, I'm the lead bike, I'm going 5 miles an hour. And my bike hits this rock that's sticking out of the ground, and for some reason it kicked my handlebars to the right, which is where the cliff is. And I hit my gas. And I went down the embankment, or down the washout, up the other side of the washout. My ATV came over top of me, and I'm sitting in this crevice, and the ATV is over top, and it rolled down the hill 250 feet, destroying my ATV.
Wow. Yeah, those are inexplicable. I mean, and thank God you're okay, but you knew some part of your soul voice.
I knew.
That's a good way to put it.
I knew
Unbelievable.
I knew that I had to listen. Now when I hear that voice, I don't hear it as much anymore, but when I do hear that voice, I know I better listen. Because I don't want to do something stupid like run into a dog man and chase it down in the forest, and then it rips me to shreds, right? That's why I stay out of the ocean. That little voice tells me, don't go in the ocean, Dave. You're food.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
No,
you're not wrong.
Not at all. Not at all. So the point that I'm getting at with that story, Tom, is we all have this intuition inside of us that the majority of even the people listening to this show, never mind this planet, are not paying attention to. You've learned to pay attention to it. I had to learn the hard way to pay attention to it. So have others. But have you ever been steered wrong by that little soul voice?
Never. Not even a little bit. No. When you hear it, it's always right. I've been steered wrong because I haven't listened to it. So that's the key. Now I say that now. I say that I'm sitting here as I'm answering. I'm thinking the last 9 years. Before that, I don't know what was going on. I thought I was listening to it. But I was everything was my thinking was just so scrambled, and it was scrambled from the drugs too. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? I was just out of it. So without that, it's my brain is more trusting. My soul is more trusting, and I am. Now, here's something that's something that I learned when I was going through this. Remember, this is a 2-year process. I thought I was being followed by satellites, by the government. I was paranoid, right? And in that means I always thought I was being watched. So that means if I would go into a room, I'd think the fans had cameras in them, or a bookcase had a camera in it. And I started to think I was always being watched. Now, what's very strange is that I've taken that moving forward, not in a negative way. I'm like, I say, well, what if I was always being watched? How would I change my behavior? And I do. It's almost like a spiritual watching, like, you know what I mean? Like by God. It's like, what if God was watching everything I do? And I don't want this to be any kind of religious lesson at all, but I'm going to do the right thing. So now I'm like, all right, you know what? If I'm being watched all the time, maybe I'm supposed to get something from that. Maybe I'll take that paranoid thing that was negative and turn it positive, and I can live my life that way. Obviously if I was being watched,
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
Kite Fest Louisiana, named Festival of the Year by the Louisiana Travel Promotion Association, is back. The West Baton Rouge Convention and Visitors Bureau is proud to present Kite Fest on April 30th and May 1st. Come out and enjoy kite flying, our design competition, a kids' kite making workshop, and a huge fireworks display at dusk on Saturday night. Plus inflatables, food vendors, and more. Bring your lawn chairs and blankets, but no pets or ice chests. To learn more, go to events at westbatonrouge.net and be sure to like us on Facebook. That's westbatonrouge.net.
Really by the government, it would be kind of creepy. But if you're just being watched by somebody that wants to protect you, it's kind of okay. It's, for at least that's how I've taken it and changed it. So I've kind of put a positive spin on it.
Tom Matt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Tom, with the premonitions that you were having, and this is probably the last question I'm going to ask you about the premonitions, what startled you that came true?
Actually, the big ones, none of them have come true. None of the big ones. I think they're still going to happen. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. Some things I can't, I don't want to talk about them yet. It's a funny question. Oh, you know what? No, they haven't done. I think I'm going to solve a math problem, but it hasn't happened yet. I write about that in the books explicitly because when it happens, I want to say I predicted it. So I have that in the book, but it hasn't happened yet. But I got time.
Well, I mean, the key is that you have time to do that. But say predictions that have come true already. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Okay. So the family back together. Yes, fair enough. My kids loving me again. Definitely, definitely. That was a prediction. So that's probably the biggest one. As a matter of fact, of all of them, when people said, you're never, your son's never going to forgive you, I was like, yeah, he has. I've seen it. I said I've seen it, and it happened. So there, you know what I mean? I know it took time, so I wasn't, and I think that's what, by knowing it was going to happen, I didn't force it and let it happen on a timeline the universe had planned or he had planned. That was a big one.
Wow. I mean, that is just heartwarming. Absolutely heartwarming that happened. Now, have you tried to make worldly type predictions that have come true?
Well, what I'm doing now is marketing for roofing companies, and the decision to go into business with my business partner was definitely the business is just over a year old. Definitely influenced by the thoughts on this, and it's been successful. So that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those things I was talking about earlier. Not that I said no to it, but I was like, I needed to think about it because I'm in business with my nephew. So I needed to pause and think about it. But after that pause, it was like, you're doing this. It wasn't even it was, you're doing this. And I was like, okay, I didn't know I'd want to do it, but it was like, and it's been better than I could have hoped. So that's one. There's no things like winning the lottery, but there's nothing like that. You know what I mean? There's no like extraordinary things that I can point to and say I had a dream about picking the numbers or I had a vision about that. That's not happened yet. I think it might. It could. I don't know. I don't really need that. If that makes sense. I'm not trying to use this for. It's not a trick. Somebody asked on UFO Twitter. I was writing about this. He says, if you're a remote viewer, what's in my pocket? I'm like, this is not a trick. I don't know what's in your pocket. You're an idiot. I don't know what's in your pocket.
Remote viewing.
So it's not a trick. I don't want to get on stage and do this as a show. I want it to be studied because there's something there we can learn about the human mind. And I think other people can do it. And I think we can maybe even communicate this way. I absolutely believe that's true.
Oh, you're into telepathy too, eh?
Absolutely.
I love telepathy. There's a couple subjects that I would really love to get into: time travel and telepathy. And I just think that those are so possible that you can communicate. If you're on the same wavelength as someone else, I think deep down you can connect on a telepathic level.
I agree 100%. I mean, when I was in the book, the aliens were the extraterrestrials, whatever they were communicating with me telepathically. I even write about that. I even say how humans can't do it, how the aliens or the extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings are frustrated with us because it's only one way. They can only make us do things, but we can't communicate back. It's like we're idiots, you know. They can't get us to respond.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
We got about 6 minutes to go here. When did the aliens arrive?
You mean in the book?
No, in your life.
Well, so I'm on the island of St. John's, right? I've walked out on the family. I am on the island of St. John's, completely isolated from anybody. Every day, go buy booze, weed, coke, whatever. Go back to the hotel, do the drugs. This is a fear and loathing type of thing, right? I'm in the staff at the hotel are afraid of me. If you've seen Richard Dreyfuss, if you've seen him build the Devil's Tower in the movie Close Encounters, he takes all the things in his room, he builds it up. What I did is I took the fan as a fulcrum and I started hanging ropes and strings from it, and I hang jewelry from it, and the whole room was made to look like a galaxy of this aliens galaxy. The cleaning people they were afraid of me because I was a strange man in my room. I was like, don't come in here. Just leave me alone. It was a really expensive hotel, so they let you do what you want. But they're like, and that was when they first started telling me what to do with telepathy. But let's be clear. I was using drugs at this time, so I'm not I'm an unreliable narrator at that point. Even though that happened, the details of it are very strange. There's definitely a lot of drug use in the time, but I still did it. And I guarantee you, there's a cleaning woman with a picture of that room on her phone from 10 years ago. She's like, look what this crazy man in room 512 is doing. I guarantee somebody's got this on their phone from somewhere. I had Olaf Rockner. He's an artist. He does experiencers. He did the illustration, and I have it on UFO Twitter. I have it on my Twitter feed if you want to go take a look at it.
Wow. Well, what were they showing you when you were putting together this solar system?
Yeah, they were. Again, this is when I was using, but they were showing me where all they were just making me put putting the way the galaxy looks. And I mean, it wasn't accurate, but that's what I was doing. That's what they were telling me to do, and I was doing it. I would draw them. I would put jewelry. I would move them up and down the strings. That was psychotic. Let's be clear. That wasn't actually the galaxy, but I was getting some kind of message to do this. I would sit on the floor and draw in these books, all these different planets. I mean, I would do a ton of that stuff. Yeah, so that's what I again, I write about that in the book, and they had me do other things. I can't tell you other things that you did on the radio because it's like you said, terrestrial radio, and it's too graphic.
Did you ever?
And it's a little bit funny and it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's in the book.
Well, unfortunately, it's in the book. Doesn't work for radio, man. So you got to help me out here a little bit. Did you see the aliens? Did they ever show you what they look like?
No, not then at all. Not even a little bit. And now, a couple of years later, these beings were in my room. When I woke up, I turned over, and I think those were the beings from St. John's. So I put this, and I said this, and I wanted to write about this, and I said it on UFO Twitter. Now, I wasn't sure, but I had a feeling these were those same beings. And somebody said the beings that were drawn, that I had Olaf Rockner draw for me, he said those are not the same beings. Those beings are like, I don't know. Again, people don't know things, but he was like, those beings are, creepy. If you ever see them again, make sure they stay out of your room. I'm like, I can't tell what comes and doesn't come into my room. But yeah, I woke up from a sleep and they were there. They were translucent. 7, 8 foot beings with Ming the Merciless robes. They had beaks on. They not on. They had eyes and there were beaks. It was wild. That was, and I wasn't even scared of them. I was irritated they were there. I was like, oh, you again. It's like part of me saw them. That's why I think they were from there. Yeah, it was very
bird-like
weird.
creatures.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, very weird. Very, very weird. Not your typical extraterrestrial at all.
No way. That's just creepy.
You know what? I'll tell it when if we come back. I'll tell it about a remote viewing I saw on a gray spaceship. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Right. Well, we got about a minute left. These beings that were bird-like, did you see feathers on them?
No, they had robes. Do you remember
Robes.
Ming the Merciless? You remember
No.
Ming the Merciless? He had that high cape in the back. If you go back and look on what's it called? I can't remember. There's a science fiction, but Ming the Merciless. And they had robes. They had these big robes. I didn't even see their arms. The robes covered anything. All I saw was their head, and they were translucent. They were clear. And there was 3 of them. The one in the front, I got out of bed, and he was startled, and he had to move back, right? And the 2 behind him were standing there perfectly still, as if this was some kind of test for the guy the being that was close to me. It was a test for him. Now, how do I know that? I don't know. I just did. I guess he passed the test. I went to the bathroom. I went back to bed. I looked at him. I'm like, whatever. I was like I said. I was like, it was almost like getting waked by a nurse to give you meds in a hospital. It was like that. It's like I knew they were there. I knew they weren't going to hurt me. I knew they were doing something. It was just an irritant. It was a weird experience, but it was extremely real.
Tom, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Author Tom Matt has a great book out, which can be found on Amazon. Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness. We're going to continue talking some aliens, astral travel, remote viewing, all coming up in hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio. So stay tuned. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to take a bathroom break here. So I will see you back here in a couple of minutes.
I'll be here.
All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
And, let me see where we are here. See who else has come on in.
I think I saw that you guys broadcast in Noonan, Georgia. Is that correct?
Yes, we do on WQEE.
That's wild. It's about a couple hours from here.
Yeah.
Close.
Super Duke, I have just about to send you the link for later on. There you go. And we got about 90 seconds. Michael Fontaine, Damian K., welcome to the show. And the gorgeous Marilena, how are you? Big J, good to see you. And Black Dragon, our favorite Marine around here, how are you, my friend? Zeta Pop, looking lovely tonight. The lovely Judy of Gaul, welcome back. Lars Janssen, he's number 22 in your program, courtesy of Stockholm, Sweden. All right, let's see here. Who else is here? John Jackson, welcome to the show. And who else has joined us here? Let's see. Oh, my goodness, I got way behind. The gorgeous Diesel Girl. Sensational Shelley, TMI, how are you guys? Easy Does It, welcome. Jesse Peak, good to see you. And I want to say a big thank you to Liliopatra and Doug Shelby for the super chats tonight. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Thank you, AZ Man, for coming on in. And we are caught up here. And gorgeous Gloria, good to have you back. Don't forget you can do all your shopping at spacedoutradio.com/shop. We got a really cool store with some really cool swag. And here we go with hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, as we really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Hackle. Hackle is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with author Tom Matt. He's got a great book out about his life story, and you would love it. Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness. We're talking aliens right now because he did have some extraterrestrial experiences that are very unexplainable. And we're going to get into that before we get to your questions here tonight. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you. I was talking about the view of the ship. Let me explain something too. I think this is important. So I call this thing I do upsight, right? I call these kind of my vision upsight. And the place I go, and this is in the book I call it schizopedia, because this information was coming from somewhere. These images. So I use the word schizophrenia and Wikipedia because it had information and it was coming from somewhere. Since then, I was written a book years ago. I call it the organic metaverse. I think that's a much better description of it because that's exactly what it is. So when I am actively using upsight to cruise the organic metaverse. There's no telling what I'm going to see. And one of the coolest things I saw, like this is going back 8 years. So I'm sitting there, I'm staring off into space. I'm watching all these images come by, and I see all these grays. And by the way, these things, they're not solid. These things I'm seeing are like holograms. They're just like holograms. So I see all these gray aliens in a circle around on a spaceship, standing in a circle around the square table. It was glass. There was nothing on it, but they were all looking down, and I was remote viewing them, and they were remote viewing like some people walking through a town. It was the wildest thing. I was watching them remote view somebody else, and as I'm watching them, one or two of the aliens looked at me and they saw me watching them, and it was creepy, man. It was like, whoa, like I barged in on something, and they weren't used to seeing people, humans or anybody barging them. They're the ones that do the watching. They were surprised somebody was watching them. That thing struck me.
Looking for a fun, family-friendly getaway? A nice adventure? Come have a blast at the West Baton Rouge Convention and Visitors Bureau Kite Fest, Louisiana. On April 30th and May 1st, come out for kite flying, huge fireworks at dusk on Saturday night, inflatables, workshops for kids, food vendors, and much more. Bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, and spend an amazing weekend at Kite Fest, Louisiana. Exit 151 Rosedale Road. Find events at westbatonrouge.net and like us on Facebook for more.
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
That struck me. That was like, and I was like, wait, we can. And then I started thinking we can learn from watching them. I don't know if we can do what they do, but they're doing things here. Obviously, if that was the truth, again, I remember I told you everything you see there is not necessarily true. But if that was that was without a doubt not one of the wildest, the first wild things I saw in what I call the organic metaverse. And there's so many things you can see there, and it's the best way. Everyone knows what the metaverse is now, So that's why I use that term, because that's what it is. Anything, and I don't have to. They have a C5 protocol where you want to try to contact aliens, right? If you want to commune with them. I've been doing this before I even learned about a C5, and I never had to try to contact anyone. Anytime I'm searching the organic metaverse using Upsite, beings show up. It just happens. It's wild.
I can totally see where that would be completely wild and blow your mind kind of stuff here on your own life here. I mean, the telepathy is what I'm interested right now, because at first you started getting telepathic messages from extraterrestrials. How did you know it was ET?
Well, I didn't. That's why I went mad. That's one of the reasons I went crazy, because I thought all these thoughts were my thoughts, and I would have these thoughts, I would believe them, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't really put together, or I didn't until I got out or stopped using it. I'm like, okay, maybe these thoughts are not coming from my mind. Maybe they're coming from outside, coming in, or let's say I called it a creative thought. So if there's people out there that are skeptical and say, well, how do you know the difference between a thought that's coming inside and outside? That's a great question. And all I can say is it's as subtle as anything in the universe can be. We know it's almost like when you put your finger on your skin, you can feel that somebody's you're touching yourself. But if you don't touch yourself and somebody touched you, it's happening. It's that sensitive. My mind has got this filter that is that sensitive. And I think a lot of ours do, but I don't think we pay attention to it. And I think it can be taught. I think you can get better at it. Especially if you have to work on it. I think that's, so you have like an external thought that might come in, and then you have your own thought, I mean, our ears pick up external sounds. Our throat, makes sounds that go outside. If somebody had my voice on a recorder, right, I would, and I wasn't making the sound, I would know it was my voice, but I would also know that it was coming externally.
Right. I can understand that. I've had that happen, and I'm sure many of our listeners have had before. Prior to you seeing the beings, how often were the aliens coming around?
Wait, you just talking about the one time in my room?
Yes.
When I started, they never. That was a very unusual. That was very unusual. So they're never there in the room. I see them when I do remote viewing. Let's be clear on that. It's not like I'm an abductee. I don't have to worry about things coming in. I don't have hitchhikers, is what they call them. Or if I don't get me wrong, I've seen them, but they don't bother with me. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll see something like that, but it's not common. It's not common. In the organic, when I'm remote viewing, absolutely common.
Very cool. Very, very cool on that. Okay, so this led you to start remote viewing, correct?
Right.
Okay, so for people who are unfamiliar with remote viewing, what did you know about remote viewing previous to this happening?
Okay, so the things and even now, remote viewing is when you try to, you again, let me start by saying I am not even a little bit of an expert on remote viewing. So somebody who's an expert may say that what I'm saying is incorrect, and they're probably right. They do it the way that people have been trained to do it. I do it the way that I fumbled through it as I was learning to do it by myself. Is that fair? You got that?
Yes.
I want to put that disclaimer out there. It's important because there are experts on remote viewing. So for me, I will look at a picture of something. Let's say it's a picture of an Eiffel Tower. Okay. Then I can see that, literally see it on my site. I'll picture it, and I'll picture the people walking around it at the time. Okay. At hopefully, I don't know if it's actually true, but I won't picture it. I will see it. I will see people walking around the Eiffel Tower. Now, whether those people are actually walking around the Eiffel Tower when I'm seeing it, or it happened at another time, I don't know. I've never been tested with that. Or maybe maybe it's just this hologram that's just a representation of the Eiffel Tower, and people are walking around. I'm not sure. But all I know is that I literally manifest and see it in my field of vision. And another thing, which is absolutely amazing, and I haven't seen anybody talk about doing this, is when I can see a picture of my children when they were younger, like toddlers, and I can look at the picture, then I see them playing in my backyard when they were kids. Now, when I was talking to the woman at the Eye Institute, she's like, "Oh, we need to get you into the MRI so you have this, and we need to see what area of your brain lights up when you're seeing something from the past. Where is that represented in the brain? Then we need to see something that's happening now. Where is that represented in the brain? And then she's like, then you need to see if something in the future and see where that's represented in the brain." We never got to this test, but I think that'd be really, really cool to see. Where is that in the brain? And are they different areas? And the answer is probably yes.
Could you tell where in your brain they were connecting to?
I would say that's a good question. That's actually a great question because I've thought that a lot. And I think, no, I can't tell. They feel like they're in different areas. Okay. So the back, bottom, left, top, right, back. Yes, they feel like that, but I don't know if that's true. But yes, I feel like that's happening. And I can feel my eyes moving to that part. They have that neuro-linguistic programming, how you move your eyes where it's associated with your brain. So I feel that happening, but I don't know if I could, if it's correct.
Right. Okay. So the fact that they were connecting through your brain, was it on a meditational level? Were you meditating for this to happen?
Never. All I got to do is shift my attention. It's wild. I don't have to meditate. I don't have to get into the zone. It's there.
Could you do it now?
I can do it now. I can do. You want to know? You want to do it? Because people on the radio, they're going to.
Let's do it, man.
Okay, you want me to see what I'm seeing right now? You got to give me a second. You might have to do some quiet time.
All right.
Hold on. So it's just some guy eating a hamburger. See, at a diner. One of those diners like the old kind at the pharmacy. The kind they have when you go up to and order a milkshake and a hamburger. That's what I'm seeing. Now he's taking a drink of his shake. It makes no sense. Why are we seeing that? Why am I seeing that when we're talking about this? That's it. Maybe one of your listeners is actually doing that right now. I have no idea. But if that's the case, that'd be cool. But that's what's happening. Somebody's at a diner, literally maybe a Waffle House or something like that. I don't know, eating a hamburger.
Really? Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And a lot of people, myself included, would say, geez, Tom, that's pretty vague considering there's probably, a million people right now sitting at a diner at 10:19 p.m. Pacific time looking at. And
of course you're right. You're correct.
Cheeseburger.
I'm not saying, I don't know why it's there. Yeah, I don't know. You asked what I saw and that's it. It doesn't represent anything to me.
Very true. Very true. Okay, I can see that, and I can accept that. I think though, people need to understand too. You're not going to all of a sudden call out the lottery numbers. That's not really how it works.
No. Again, something has happened to my vision, either evolution, mutation. If aliens did mess with it, something has happened where my vision, I can see more than other people. And I'm actually seeing it, The question is how, when, what am I seeing? Can other people see it? I'm convinced someone else could see the same thing I'm seeing. And we could have like you call it telepathic. We could both be seeing it and we could both be influencing it the same way. Just like we're having a conversation with words, we could have a upside conversation with pictures. I'm convinced of that. I don't know when I'll test it, but I can't be the only one that can do this. There's got to be other people. I'm convinced of that too. I just want to find them.
Where are you looking?
Well, I've all the academic. I've emailed anybody that study hallucinations. There's people who are going. There's a what do you call it? A Charles Bonnet syndrome, right? If you're going blind, they start hallucinating and seeing things. I think what is happening is the brain is actually saying, even though one part of our eye is going blind, the brain is saying we can do other things and we can see. And it's like screaming that don't ignore us. But right now, when someone's going blind and they start hallucinating, and that's what they call it, they just give them meds because the people, they're usually older with macular degeneration. They freak out, and they're scared that they're losing their minds. So they try to just make the hallucinations go away. I think what it's doing is the brain is saying, listen, I can communicate another way with the eyes. So that's one place I've looked. And I'm on the message boards on all those. But again, that's just an idea, I think the place to look is on UFO Twitter and the people that are doing research there. I just haven't found them yet, or we haven't connected.
Yeah, good luck on UFO Twitter, my friend.
Yeah, again.
Good luck on UFO Twitter. Electromagnetic frequency, otherwise known as EMF around here, is wondering what effect has the work of Terence and Dennis McKenna had on you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Terence McKenna, he's the guy that studied the hallucinations with mushrooms, and he's saying that's how we evolved, language and things like that. I think that's absolutely the case, and I think we're in the next evolution. I think something else is happening. So it hasn't had any effect except that I've learned that he's way ahead of what I know on this. And when I read his stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, that's happening to me. I wrote a blog, a post on Medium. It's a long read, about 25-minute read, and I talk about him in that post. And I talk about how Upsight interacts with regular matter. When I see it interacting with DNA in a very unusual way. I see it interacting with rainbows. So rainbows are the electromagnetic spectrum. Literally, I see what I see is different than what other people see, or how it sees it interacting with it. So, yeah, you might want to read the blog. It's called "The Dark Matter Revolution is Coming, and it makes artificial intelligence look like a middle school project," something like that. I posted it in October. If you want to look on Medium.
All right, we can do that. Let's get into remote viewing here, because this is a topic that intrigues me. We got about 5 minutes to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. And for remote viewing, what are you looking into?
You mean, where am I looking? What am I try to see. So my remote viewing. Okay, all right. You know what? I'll tell you the most recent one I've done is looked at Area 51.
Oh,
okay.
Here we
go. Why wouldn't I not look there? So looking at Area 51, every time I try to look in there, I get pictures of guard dogs and these guys walking around with guard dogs. Now, I don't believe that's correct. I can't, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm naive to think that, but it's almost like a World War II, with the Nazis, with the guard dogs are out there and they always growl when they hear something. Every time I try to do that, I always end up with a guard dog and I'll just turn around. I'll just stop. I don't want to get past it. I think it's telling me you should stop here because you don't want to know what you're going to see there. I get feelings when I do that too. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So if there's some things that creep you out. I've seen some really, really creepy things.
Creep us out. That's what we need. Bring that woo, man. Bring that woo.
So this is actually the creepiest thing. So the mantis, again, now I don't know if this was really a remote view or something else, but oh God, I didn't want to say this. It's so gross. It had, how we have buckets of chicken, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried. There was a bucket of people and there was parts of it hanging out and these mantises were eating it. I was like, wait, I do not want to see that right now. Now, I don't know. Obviously, I don't think that happens, but I don't know. I don't know if people disappear, but that was one of the most unsettling things I've ever seen, actually.
I could see where that would be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So when you were remote viewing, do you just pick a target and go for it?
Yeah, when you say target, you're talking about like a place or a location, say the Empire State Building?
When you're looking at Area 51 or a place like that, are you looking to see inside, like inside the secret bases?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think sure, exactly. What's in there? Is there a spaceship? Are there alien beings? You know what I mean? Frozen or whatever? Is there something living in there that's in prison? Yeah. And I have not seen anything that would show that. That's not that it's not there. It's just I haven't seen it.
All right.
So somebody just asked, does he have any recurring visions? So the recurring things I see aren't things that are going to happen. It's structures. It's the things that always come back is the way that the DNA interacts with the dark matter. That's intriguing to me. So it's recurring. It's a vision. It's some kind of process around the structure of things. It's more science-based than like this event that's going to happen. That said, I did see a bridge collapse about 8 weeks ago, and I wrote about it on UFO Twitter. I was like, hey, there's a bridge going to collapse tomorrow somewhere, and it happened. So you can find that in my Twitter stream. And I don't see that. I don't have, that's not what I do. I don't know how, I haven't done it. It's not normal for that to happen. But I knew something weird was going to happen, and it did.
Well, I mean, that's just amazing. The recurring visions that Mennonite Abe is asking about, do you get a lot about the Earth's future? Because a lot of people tend to try and predict what is coming for us. Do you get any of those visions?
When COVID started, there was a vision of a sadness. That's the best way I can put it. So that's really, you know what I mean? There was a vision of like people crying. And I knew COVID was coming, but that's not really what they're looking for, but that's the best I can tell you.
Okay. So you're not somebody who's going to be like, in 18 months, there's going to be a giant earthquake on California where the whole half of the state is going to sink into the Pacific Ocean and the sharks and Megalodon are going to come closer.
No, here's the thing, though. I can't do that, but I bet you if a bunch of us got together, we would be stronger and we could sense something like that. I know that to be true. I don't know how I know it's true, but I do. I think it's like a chorus when you're together, because that's what I saw on the grades. They were all together and their skills were stronger. They were like a chorus and everyone knew the note to hit. I think we can do the same thing, but we're not as good at it as they are.
Right.
What do you think of that answer? Yeah, that's for real. I do.
All right. Well, I think that is a great place to leave it off. And when we come back on Spaced Out Radio, we are going to get into astral travel with you. This is something that intrigues me because I have astral traveled before. I don't do it often. But when you go out there and you go flying, you can go anywhere you want, see anything that you want. And we're going to find out how our guest tonight, Tom Matt, does it. He's got a great book out on Amazon, Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness. We're going to have a great time with Tom tonight. We got him for another half an hour before we head to the swamp. Super Duke, Shirky Poo's News, and the Dave 101 in Hour 3. Spaced Out Radio continues with Astral Travel Talk and Tom Matt right after this. All right, we're clear.
I want to answer this Marlena's question. Can they smell your scent? I want to answer that if that's cool.
Well, let's do that after the break. Save it for the radio.
Perfect.
Save it for the radio people.
How's it? How you feeling about the show, Dave?
Loving it, man. Loving it.
Good. Who's your most? Who do you bring back the most from the UFO side? Are you friends with any? I know you're probably friends with a bunch of them, but is there somebody that's always fun that you like, or maybe even not a friend of yours, but just a great guest?
I bring back Dr. Bob McGuire. We call him Science Bob around here. Nicole Sackich comes around quite a bit. I try and stay away from a lot of the people on UFO Twitter. The negativity and everything just does not sit well with me.
Good for you.
Yeah. And
no, that's good. I think that's fair. Have you had the Blue Azondo on here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had he's coming back on April 28th.
Yeah. So he's a good guest, huh?
He is. I mean, you have to know how to approach him. I think the biggest problem that a lot of people have had is that he's polarizing. So they ask him the same questions over and over again, but in different wording. And it's the same questions. I'm going to post Tom's Twitter handle in here. Tom E. Matt. There you go. So that's in the chat room.
Is there questions on YouTube? Is there like a sidebar where people have questions and comments that I'll be able to see later?
Yep. You can actually view them right now. If you go up in the right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see private.
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Carrie Walsh Jennings. 5 Olympics, 4 medals. I've played with lots of injuries and sore muscles. KT Tape has helped me push past the pain. Today, clinical studies prove what I've always known, that using KT Tape before, during, and after workouts can reduce muscle soreness. Whether it's the Olympics or the local gym, pain is pain.
Tape up with the #1 kinesiology tape. Use it for muscle soreness and many common injuries. KT Tape. Train longer, finish stronger.
KT Tape works for me. It'll work for you.
Message and then comments.
Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that.
There you go.
Okay, this is great. I'm sorry. I hit KFC is not good food. The same woman that asked if they smell me when I. That's funny. I'm glad I didn't see these for most of the thing. I would be laughing because, like I said, people, this is a subject that you got to have it take with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. You have to.
Oh, look at this. My friends from UFO Twitter over here. This is nice. All right. I love this.
All right.
Yeah, you do have to. You do have to. It's funny. We have to, but Lou, like he's with the Department of Defense, so it's all serious for him. I mean, I know he's got a good sense of humor. I've seen him on some shows, but he's protecting the country, or he knows things that we just don't know. He knows things we just don't know.
Lou is holding on to a lot of information. A lot of information.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would love to be able to pick his brain.
Yeah, I would too. I would love to be able to pick his brain where he has to tell the truth.
I think he is telling the truth. He's just not telling the whole truth, if you know what I'm saying.
Fair enough. I agree with that 100%.
And I think a lot of people take that as he's trying to misinform.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because that, or you don't know, but part of me is like, listen, the government's not going to tell us anything. So we know that one part of the government is keeping something from the other part of the government. The one part that's keeping it private is keeping it private. So the other's like, listen, the only way that we're ever going to wrench it from them is to get it public and make them talk. So when that happens, I still feel like they may, once we have to pull it out, I still think this other side is going to own it and then go back behind the curtain. But they're going to know more. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but that's the cynic in me.
Well, you know what? I hope that they do come out with more information. I mean, could you imagine what it would be like if Elizondo came out saying, "Hey, by the way, I'm an experiencer"?
I've heard he is, though.
Oh yeah, hugely.
Yeah, I've heard for sure. I've heard that.
He won't admit it.
Yeah, right. He described something about extra dimensions on one of the shows, and he described it not the same way I see it, but almost the same way.
Right.
So that really intrigued. Yeah, I was like, okay, he knows what he's talking about.
All right, give me a few seconds here. Thank you to Catherine, Doug, and Liliopatra for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. We're going to get going right now. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, author Tom Matt is here. We're going to get into astral travel, but first let me tell you, you can find his book here, which is called Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a memoir of madness. It's all over Amazon. It's got 5-star ratings, people. 5-star ratings. Let's check it on out. Tom, welcome back.
Thank you.
Astral travel, my man. This is a subject I love.
Let me answer the question about can you smell their scent when they're remote viewing you? The answer is no, but I can feel them. I absolutely. You're like something's up, and I don't see them. That's what's wild. I guess they're doing it from so far away, but there's no doubt. I can't say there's a weight on you. I can't say I feel like pressing on you, but something feels different, like the air. And that blows my mind. Like sometimes I know something is up when they're remote viewing me. Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And you got to figure these beings are so much more advanced on what they can do than we are. I think we're just tinkering I think we're just grasping at straws and trying to figure this out. We're just plodding through. Even the best people that do it, I just think we're still so far behind the mind and what it can be done. It's kind of a joke to them. That's why they, I don't know. I don't say they hold us in contempt, but they do what they want with us. But astral, have you had? Did you say, Dave? You did astral? Tell me about your astral travels.
Oh, I didn't even know I was doing it until I was told. And I worked with one astral traveler. Her name is Megan, and she's out of Washington State. I'd never been to her house before. She's like, "Do you astral travel?" I said, "I think I do." She goes, "Well, let's try it out." So we kind of tried it out, and I thought I was going to the front door of her house, and it was the back door. And I remember entering that back door, looking to the left. I saw her cat sitting on her couch watching a blank TV. It almost looked staticky to me, but the TV was off, so I was a little off on that. I heard her husband snoring upstairs, and then I walked into the kitchen area, and I remember looking down because she was at the end of the kitchen by the fridge, and I looked at the island on the counter of the island in the middle of the kitchen. And I asked her when's she going to throw out her black bananas, and she goes, "Dude, I'm making banana bread tomorrow." So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah. Wow, that's good. That's good. So have you done it where you're flying? You were talking about that. Have you ever I think that's a common thing for astral travel where you're literally flying. You could say that's lucid dreaming. They're maybe connected. Well, they're definitely connected. But astral travel is, that you can go anywhere, and you're doing it either. Again, you can decide how to get there, fly, whatever. And when you feel yourself flying, it is the most. Well, I mean, we remember this when we were kids having dreams, or at least I did, and it's so uncanny because you do feel like a superhero. It's incredible, and then you change consciousness or whatever, you shift yourself up, or you change and you realize, oh, I'm not actually doing it. And sometimes for me, I have a wild equilibrium, and I think that's part of what this is. I get dizzy real fast. Like I don't like ledges, because something's going on in my brain that's really it's not off, it's just subtle. And I think that's one of the reasons I can do what I do. There's some mechanism in my brain, in my ear, that's really nuanced, and it affects my three-dimension world as well. So, but astral travel is really cool.
Where have you astral traveled to?
I mean, other planets. I don't know. I'm sitting on the rings of Saturn. Any ridiculous thing that you can think of, I've seen it, or I've done it, or at least tried to do it. Yeah, I mean, through the stars. It's kind of corny to say it, but it's true.
And okay, so you've traveled to other planets astrally. I'm just curious about where maybe what have you seen? Have you seen life on Mars?
No. So okay, all right, I get what you're going with this. So somebody asked me once if I've seen other civilizations, and the answer is not really. Okay. A lot of times when I'll astral travel. Okay, so for me, the lucid dreaming, the remote viewing, and the astral travel. Those are the three levels. Lucid's closer, remote viewing second, astral's third. When I've done all of those, and this is kind of just a sidebar conversation, but I think it's interesting. I've been doing that, and I've been interrupted by the Greys aliens at every single level. They're kind of like a nuisance. They were a pest. So sometimes when I'm doing something, they'll like irritate. They'll get under my skin to get me off my game, or I don't even know why they do it, but they do it. So those guys can do it so much better. And I have my pinned. I have on my Twitter feed a pinned tweet showing a diagram of how that looks to me and how I've been annoyed by Greys at every level. I just wanted to say that because I know Greys are. Some people don't believe Greys exist. Some people think Greys are half biology, half humanoid or robot. And from what I've seen, that's exactly correct. They're not human. They're not. I mean, obviously they're not human, but they're what do you call it? The technology when the mini technology. I can't think of the word, but they're half robot and half like some kind of biological material or something. And I don't even know where they come from either. I can't, like I said, there's no civilization. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen groups of them. Definitely have seen groups of them. I've seen one at a time. And I know people have been, who've been abducted. I've only seen on their ship. I don't want to say I've been on their ship because it's remote viewing on the ship. I've never been on the ship under their observation like some people. And that, for all the stuff I've been through, man, I feel sorry for people who've actually been abducted and taken aboard. I can't imagine how helpless that would be.
Oh, come on. You haven't got a little aliens in your life like that?
No, I don't.
All right. Jules is asking, have you ever had feedback on the targets you view?
Hey, Julie. I know Jules. Yeah. Other feedback is in response of like, what are you doing here?
Feedback on accuracy?
No. I want to be tested. No, nothing. No, I need to be taken. I need not be taken, but I need to go with people who are great remote viewers, and I need them to sit down and they need to show me all their tricks and say, and tell me what they do. And I know I can do things. Hopefully I can bring something to the table, but no, I've never been anywhere tested on it. Not even a little bit.
Well, talk to Julie then, who asked the question.
We have.
Yeah,
I will. We will more. That's great.
All right. Amber wants to know, does anyone else in your family have these same gifts?
I don't think so. No, no, they don't.
You don't go astral traveling
I know.
with
No,
the kids?
the reason I'm laughing is because I bugged my wife every night to do this for the longest time, and she's so over it. And my kids just don't want to have anything to do with it. They're just not interested. And they're young men now, but no. So one of my sons might have it, but he's not playing. He's not letting on if he does.
All right. So for you, when you're astral traveling, are you doing it on your own, or is it happening at night where you just freely get out there and start traveling wherever you want to go?
Usually at night. Yeah, usually at night. You can do it during the day, but at night it seems funner. It seems more like the setting is right. I say I don't need to be, I can do it at any time, but at night, for whatever reason, it seems I do, which is funny. I never actually thought about it until right now. More astral viewing at night. There's no doubt about it.
Well, then how do you know, and I'm going to ask a skeptical question here, but how do you know then that you're actually astral traveling and not just dreaming?
Because I'm awake.
Well, that would do it.
Yeah. No, I'm awake. Lucid dreaming. Now, that said, I can also be dreaming in astral travel. Let's be clear. So, you know what I'm saying? So if I have a lucid dream, like I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming, then I can fly. So that, to me, that's astral traveling. So it's a lucid dreaming with the astral travel element, So but I can do it when I'm awake too.
All right. So have you ever met up with other astral travelers on the plane?
So I've seen other beings. I've never seen another human. Never seen another human. Through the eyes of another animal.
So the question is from Toe Tag, have you ever experienced astral travel or remote viewing through the eyes of a spirit animal?
God, this is a great question, too. I'm trying to think, because I know I've seen animals. Maybe. I don't know. I can't say that with confidence. Not even, no, I don't think so. But I've seen them look at me. Squids, absolutely. Intelligent animals. Squids, for sure, for whatever bizarre reason. Hawks, bears. Yeah, I've seen them. And even spiders, tons of spiders. Which is just like, yeah. And sometimes when you see Those and ants, even ants. When you see those things, and you know they're like there's like some kind of connection, it is still creepy. Let's not be. I want to be honest about that. You're like, okay, these are insects.
Katie would like to know, do you lucid dream, change, and interact with your dreams?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a great lucid dreamer. There's some people I've read so many stories about that are fantastic. I'm not. I'm better when I'm awake like this, paying attention, than I am at controlling a lucid dream. No,
Inner Earth?
No, Inner Earth, no thing. Do you astral Inner Earth? No, I haven't done that, but I'm going to try now. That's a great suggestion, and I've actually thought about it before, but I always lose the thought, so I got to check that out.
Joe wants to know, when another being sees you astral traveling, do you look like you?
I've actually had that thought, and I can't answer with confidence, but without a doubt, I believe that. That is another. These are great questions. These are the thoughts I've had too. I was like, yeah. I think that's true. Without a doubt, I think that's true. But I couldn't tell you. I have not gotten someone else's eyes to look at me. Now that would be mad, wouldn't it, to do that? To get, if you could jump in someone's eyes and check yourself out, that's way beyond skills I have.
All right. Nikki is asking, have you ever used your higher self, the most highest form of consciousness, being in 5 places at once, different than astral and remote viewing?
I don't think so. No, I can't say with any confidence at all. No. That would be, wow. That would be amazing, right? Yeah, I want to try that. I don't even know if I could do it.
Right. I do want to ask you, though, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you remind me of a lot of myself a few years ago when everything for me felt very, very out of control. That I knew how to do these things, but I had no idea how I was doing them, and I was searching for direction in order to try and figure out how this was happening to me and why this was happening to me. I get that feeling from you that you were looking for some serious direction in trying to control what you're going through, because it's been a very lonely journey in trying to figure out this mess of woo that you've encountered.
So let me speak to that. I like that. So I would say this. I'm absolutely looking for a team of people because I think we can do more than what I can do. I feel very focused now on what I can do and comfortable with it, but I know as a group, more minds behind something, we can get so much farther. I'm pretty laid back on where I am and my ability and the expectations around it. But I want us to study it. I want us to study it seriously, at the university level. This can be measured. This can be measured. Everyone says woo can't be measured. That's baloney. It can absolutely be measured. My pupils dilate, my eyes strain when I do this because I'm seeing something. And they have machines that can measure, your pupil dilation. They can measure whether there's something called smooth pursuit. So if I'm seeing an alien flying and it's going across my field of vision and I'm following it, you can't fake that. They have eye tracking devices. So they're literally, if it's there, I'm seeing it. I can't prove it's an alien. It could be a lion or a tiger. But my point is there's technology that can prove what I'm doing and other people are doing. I would love to be challenged like that.
They're out there. Those people are out there. It's just a matter of trying to find the right people to work with. Because the one thing that I've learned about this entire field, you can't just join anybody, who has the same thing. And I think it's something that you should strive for. I really do.
Well, you know how they have the Galileo project with Avi Loeb?
Right.
We need that for the woo side of things. We need that for the experiencers, abductees, we need to all get together. And I know there's experiencer groups, don't get me wrong, but I think for people this is more than experience. It's people that have these weird, or not weird, unusual gifts. I think collectively we can study it and measure it more than just, more than just statistically, more than just writing a paper and saying, oh, this is showing that this can happen. No, it happens every time. I think we can get in a room, happen every time, just like you're having a conversation right now. You don't have to write a paper about that. You do it and you see the results in real time. That can happen. I think that's eventually going to happen.
I think you could be onto something there. I do think you could be onto something there, but you have to work with people who are on the same plane. And
for sure.
And I could tell you from my own experiences in learning this, for me, it's all about trust. Who can I trust to do this with? That's going to, give me the proper answers. Where if I'm only hitting at, say, 60, 65%, I want to know. If I'm hitting at 95%, I want to know. You got to be.
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer. Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
Be ruthless in your judging. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And why are you missing the ones you're missing? What's happening?
Are you in touch with your spirit guides?
Yeah, I'm not as comfortable. I'm not. Sometimes they. Yeah, actually, yeah, 100%. I was trying to hold back, but there's no doubt. Yeah, my spirit guide has been with me today for sure. A lot.
Well, that's cool. That is that is very cool regarding that. And because I found that with my spirit guides, it was much easier for me to try and connect on any type of level if they were around. So that makes sense. I got a question here from Sandra. What's your favorite place to astral travel on Earth?
So, this is gonna be a weird answer. Coastlines. I love going on the coast. Doesn't matter what coast. Doesn't matter what country. Coastlines. I love it because you get the ocean and you get the earth, and then you get the sky. Yeah, coastlines are the best by far. I have a saying in the book, "The ocean loves me." It's one of the sayings that came to mind because it's real. It feels real, and yeah, the coastlines are great.
For me, it's clouds.
Yeah.
Love the.
I would be up there.
Love the clouds that are way up high in the mountains, and when the clouds break, you see like these giant, grass fields of nothingness, but just grass and rock on the side of the mountains. It's actually beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. That's there. That's good. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm doing that this weekend for sure.
For sure. How often are you astral traveling?
Every week. I do this I used to do this 4 hours a day. I was obsessed with this. I would do it like 4 hours a day, every day in the beginning. Every day. Maybe 8 hours. I'm not kidding. That's all I would do when I was coming out of my mental breakdown. And I would just sit and see all these amazing things. But after I got back into the real world, I don't have time for it as much as I did.
Sally in Tasmania would like to know. I think she's our first ever listener in Tasmania, to be honest. Who is your spirit guide?
So I'll just say the sun. Yeah, that's it. The sun. That is my hardcore, solid, without a doubt, it's right answer.
Final answer. Final answer. All right.
Final answer.
We have 2 minutes. We have just over 2 minutes to go with you tonight. And this has been a lot of fun for me, Tom. And I think your energy is completely infectious. And I want to wish you continued learning. And we got a lot of really brilliant people who listen to this show and in our chat rooms on a nightly basis who aren't looking to be on shows or podcasts or YouTube or radio shows or anything like that, who would probably be quite willing to help you open up, because I think that's what we need for you, man. We need to open you up a little bit more. You're about 3/4 of the way there, but once you hit that 100%, oh man, the woo is crazy on that end, man. You're almost there into the deep end. You're right now 3/4 of the way in there, but we got to get you into the deep end, man.
I like it. I like that answer. That's good, Dave. This has been nice. I enjoyed this. A lot of fun. It flew by, too.
Absolutely. Do me a favor, if you don't mind. Tell everybody where they can find your book.
I will, yeah. It's on Amazon. You can get it you download it, or you can order the hard copy, obviously. Jesus Goes to Hollywood, a Memoir of Madness. It is not necessarily an experiencer book. No, it's an experiencer book, but it's not a ufology book. It just has my alien experience, but it's about dealing with a mental health crisis and coming out of it and how I figured out what was going on. I want to manage your expectations. That said, it's a wild ride, and there's some really crazy stories. And I didn't even talk about a lot of the stories, but I think you guys might enjoy it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, the support from the chat room in YouTube is all like Nikki here. Dive into the deep end with us, Tom.
Good.
Just
I'm done.
Don't dip the pool. Don't tip the toes. Just jump right in. You know, feel that woo envelope your body, and that's what you need to do, because you're almost there. You're almost there. We just got to get you over the finish line. You know,
yeah, I like your audience. They made me think. I love when I get a question I hadn't thought about before. That's what I enjoy the most.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time for us tonight and say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. You've been a great guest, and we will definitely do this again. I can guarantee that, Tom. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next
thank you.
On Spaced Out Radio, we got a majorly busy third hour. Yes, we do. First, we're going to enter the swamp. Another great story from the Swamp Dweller. Then, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is going to join us with another Cryptid Report story. Dave 101 is all about experiencers, and Shirky Poo has the news. Stay tuned. Right around the corner is hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio, and we want you to stay tuned on in. We'll be right back. Great job, Tom.
Thank you, Dave.
Very much appreciate that.
Yeah, this was a fun show. Again, I like your people. I like your energy too. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Flew by. It was 2 hours is perfect, man. You're smart guy. 2 hours is perfect.
It is perfect. It is perfect for us. Thank you. Hey, feel free to join our chat room any night, man. There's a lot of brilliant people in there that you could probably connect with.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen. Maybe something will happen. I'll keep you posted on this.
Do that.
So I just head out, leave studio.
Yeah,
Is that all I got to do?
I'm gonna take you out here, buddy. So you don't need to worry about that. But thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks, bud. Talk to you later.
All right,
Bye.
Take care. I liked him. Nice guy. I think he needs some teaching. I really do. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because we all need it. Hell, I need it. But I think he's almost there. Jules, you need to work with him. Seriously, you need to work with him. And I'll be right back, guys. Gotta be right back. Gotta pee. Oh. All right, coming. We got 1 minute. Are you guys looking at the gnome? Did the red guitar move? That'd be really cool if it did. I got my hair done today, Kathy. Got my hair ready for Vegas. I just hate how my headphones push my hair out. Terry Brown, how are you? Big thank you to Liliopatra, Doug, Catherine, and Mennonite Abe for the amazing super chats tonight. And we're going to get going here with some Swamp Dweller. Here comes hour number 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in wherever you are in the world. Tonight, in our chat room, people from Tasmania, Egypt, all over the United States, Australia, the UK, Canada. Wow. An international flavor tonight in our chat room. You can always join us each and every night in the chat room if you want on YouTube. We would appreciate that. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, KPNL, and TalkStream Live. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hackle. Hackle is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head out to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller has another spooky story for us.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Growing up, I had a childhood friend that lived relatively close by, and we were like two peas in a pod. We were both very adventurous, believed in the paranormal, enjoyed astronomy, and generally just being outside. She was born in Alaska and her dad lived there for quite a while, so they were always into camping, hiking, fishing, skiing, you name it. I got introduced to fishing with my friend's family, and did a lot of camping with them. This happened during the mid to late 90s, and we were about 10 to 12 years old at the time. It's been a while, so I can't remember exactly. On one camping trip, we went to this lake in the forest surrounded by a meadow, and feeding the lake was a small stream leading out of the woods. Anyway, we played in the field and stream all day while my friend's dad fished. The lake wasn't too big, because it had a huge meadow all around it. He could keep an eye on our whereabouts while he fished. While messing around by the stream, the wooded area it was coming from gave me a weird vibe. I couldn't explain it. I just felt uneasy. Anyway, the day faded into early evening, and it was time to leave and find a camping spot. My friend's dad packed up his fishing gear and we walked back to the truck on this long, winding path through the woods. Once in the car, we drove into a more remote area of the forest and made our way to the steep road that was so rough and inclined that I was convinced that my friend's dad would break his truck. He had a 4, maybe 6-cylinder Toyota pickup that was about as basic as a truck could get. I'm not even sure if the truck had 4-wheel drive, but I trusted him because he was an avid Alaskan outdoorsman with years of experience. We finally made it up to the top, which was flat and relatively open with a significant forest area in the opposite direction from the road we drove up. We pitched our tents, got everything set up, and my friend and I decided to explore the area. We were maybe 50 yards away from the tents when we heard a big crack as a tree branch snapped in the woods behind us. We got quiet and looked in the direction but did not see anything. Thinking it was just a deer, we brushed it off. As we walked more, we heard it again and whispered about what it could be, but we kept on going. It stopped briefly, and when we were about 200 yards from camp, we sat on a boulder looking down the steep, wooded hill overlooking the dirt road from where we had come. Suddenly, we heard another cracking branch from behind. Whatever it was seemed to be following us. Our imaginations were going wild. We came up with everything from a serial killer stalking us in the woods to Bigfoot. When we got back to the campsite, we told her dad what we had heard and how it seemed to be paralleling us. He played it off as a black bear and secured all the food. Later on, my friend confided in me that her dad had gotten out his pistol and would be sleeping with that all night. My friend and I were sharing one tent, and he was in his tent not far from us, so we figured everything should be okay. I awoke sometime in the middle of the night, I'm not sure what time it was, to hear something or someone walking outside. I could listen to it quietly circling the tent as I lay there listening. It sounded like it was walking on 2 legs because it had a distinct rhythm to how it walked. That said, it sounded big. It sounded like it had clear weight to it, if that makes any sense. As it put each foot down and walked, I could even hear relatively quiet but deep, heavy breathing at times. As I listened intently, I could hear it wandering to other parts of the campsite, then back to our tent, almost as if it were walking in a big, repetitive loop. For who knows how long, it felt like an eternity to me. Terrified and unable to wake my friend, I listened until I eventually fell asleep. The following day, I told my friend and her dad about it, but I don't think they believed me. Interestingly enough, absolutely nothing in the camp was disturbed in any way. The ground was not very soft and covered in grass in some places, so footprints weren't very legible, but there were some clear, giant, wolf-looking prints. I always wondered what walked around our tent that night. After hearing many stories from the swamp dweller, I think it might have been some sort of dog man.
When in doubt, dog man. I'm sure Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio would agree with that. Thank you to the Swamp Dweller once again for bringing us another spooky story. We love them around here. I listen to them each and every night when I head off to bed, especially the Sam White Owl stories. Oh, I love those. Love those. Go to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads and hit subscribe. There's thousands of stories there for you. We're going to stick right into the world of woo, bringing in the Cryptid Report. From World Bigfoot Radio, we have Super Duke Sullivan. All right, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio comes on in. You can hit subscribe on his YouTube channel. I know he would like that. We'd like it as well. And you skipped the other night there, Duke. You weren't feeling too well. But it's good to have you back here tonight. Thank you so much for coming on in, man.
Thanks, buddy. Glad to be back. And did I lose the sound? What happened?
No, you're sounding great.
Oh, okay, good. Yep, I was feeling really terrible the other night, and sorry I couldn't make it. And then Bigfoot Rob had a blizzard that knocked his power out, and you were left hanging. But I watched it the next day, and of course you did superb. You don't need us to help you and hold your hand or anything. You're the master.
No.
And by the way, before I get on with the Cryptid Report, some special news for everybody that's a fan of my channel and a fan of Dave's channel. Through this modern technological miracle called pre-recording, I will be having Dave on my show the same time he's in Vegas, probably getting drunk and beating Bigfoot Michigan Rob and taking all of his money away.
Well, minus the alcohol. Minus the alcohol. I do plan. You know, it's funny. I was messaging on Facebook with Carter Bouchard today because that dude has played in the World Series.
Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital, a partner of Memorial Hospital of Gulfport, is growing and seeking RNs. Work in a state-of-the-art setting with advanced technologies offering sign-on bonuses and benefits that start day one. To apply, visit encompasshealth.com/careers. Encompass Health is an equal opportunity employer.
When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
Spicy Chicken McNuggets are back. Now get a free 6-piece Spicy Chicken McNuggets with purchase of $1 or more. Offer only on the app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid once daily through 4/30 at participating McDonald's. App download and registration required.
Poker like 3 times. I think he hit the cash once or twice on that too. And he had this photo on Facebook with his hands in his pocket, and I kind of put on there, I stoked the fire a little bit. I said, that's right, Carter, start stuffing those pockets so that way I could take the money out of them next week. And he's like, that's a challenge. And I said, it's on. It's on.
Oh, man, it's really on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be like the paranormal world's version of the Super Bowl of poker when you guys all get together.
Hey, I talked to an indigenous friend of mine. I've told you the story of the gentleman who saw the dog man in their sights, and this was one of the people I talked to today, earlier on, and he was I asked him point blank if there were any Gugway up here where we are in BC. And he's never heard of them up where I am.
Wow, that's good. They probably have a different name for them.
No, there's Sasquatch here. There is Sasquatch, but they've never heard of the Gugways up here. But he did say, look, Dave, I know you want to get close to Sasquatch, but just be careful, man. Be careful with it.
Yeah. Now, the Sasquatch, you got better chance of getting close to them and not getting hurt than a lot of other cryptids, that's for sure. Dogmen are pretty friggin' dangerous. So watch yourself with that. Don't go out there by yourself if you're going to Dogman area.
Well, I can tell you this, man. Duke, when you get that feeling that you just know something is going to happen?
Yeah.
I am having that feeling. I was talking to the Lip Blade today about it. The Lip Blade, a.k.a. my buddy Paul, who was in studio with us last week. And I was talking to the Lip Blade, and the reason I should explain why we call him the Lip Blade is he has a fantastic mustache that he can actually wax and pull out like a Guy Fouché type of mustache. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. But long story short, I was talking to him today about it, and I'm like, dude, I just got this feeling, man. I got this really, really eerie feeling that in the next few months, we are going to run into a dogman. I just know it. And I'm like totally preparing for it. Like even mentioning it right now, dude, to you and our audience, I feel the anxiety building in me. That's how strong this feeling is.
Well, as all the natives that know about this stuff will tell you, that's, they don't say the actual technical name for the cryptid because it attracts their attention. And concentrating on the cryptid attracts its attention. So be careful with centering your attention on that.
Oh, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I just want to see it, man. I just want to see it. All right, what do you got for us? We got 10 minutes for you, Duke. What do you got for us?
Well, I got a story. I already went over Albert Ostman when he got hauled away by a family of Sasquatch for 5 days. This is a story about Seraphine Long, who was kidnapped by a male Sasquatch.
Is that the one out of Harrison Hot Springs?
Again, yes, it's up in your neck of the woods. That's where everybody gets kidnapped by Bigfoot, apparently.
Okay, when you go through this story, I have something to add to it.
Okay, here she says, I was walking toward home one day many years ago, carrying a big bundle of cedar roots and thinking of the young, brave Kolak Thunderbolt I was soon to marry. Suddenly, at a place where the bush grew close and thick besides the trail, a long arm shot out, and a big hairy hand was pressed over my mouth. Then I was suddenly lifted up into the arms of a young Sasquatch. I was terrified, fought, and struggled with all my might. In those days I was strong, but it was no good. The wild man was as powerful as a young bear. Holding me easily under one arm, with his other hand he smeared tree gum over my eyes, sticking them shut so that I could not see where he was taking me. He then lifted me to his shoulder and started to run. He ran on and on for a long, long time, up and down hills, through thick brush, across many streams, never stopping to rest. Once he had to swim a river, and then perhaps I could have gotten away, but I was so afraid of being drowned. And keep in mind, she's been blinded at this point. So I held on tightly with my arms around his neck. Although I was frightened, I could not but admire his easy breathing, his great strength and speed of foot. After reaching the other side of the river, he began to climb and climb. Presently, the air became very cold. I could not see, but I guessed we were close to the top of a mountain. At last the Sasquatch stopped hurrying. Then he stooped over and moved slowly as if feeling his way along a tunnel. Presently he laid me down very gently, and I heard people talking in a strange tongue I could not understand. The young giant next wiped the sticky tree gum from my eyelids, and I was able to look around me. I sat up and saw that I was in a great big cave. The floor was covered with animal skins, soft to touch, and much better preserved than we preserved them. A small fire in the middle of the floor gave all the light there was. As my eyes became accustomed to the gloom, I saw that beside the young giant who had brought me to the cave, there were two other wild people, a man and a woman. To me, a young girl, they seemed very, very old, but they were active and friendly, and later I learned that they were the parents of the young Sasquatch who had stolen me. When they all came over to look at me, I cried and asked them to let me go. They just smiled and shook their heads. From then on, I was kept a close prisoner. Not once would they let me go out of the cave. Always one of them stayed with me when the other two were away. They fed me well on roots, fish, and meat. After I had learned a few words of their tongue, which is not unlike the Douglas dialect, I asked the young giant how he caught and killed the deer, mountain goats, and sheep that he often brought into the cave. He smiled and opened and closed his big hairy hands. I guess they just laid in wait, and when an animal got close enough, he leaped, caught it, and choked it to death. Although she didn't know it, actually they break their necks. He was certainly big enough, quick enough, and strong enough to do so. When I had been in a cave for about a year, I began to feel very sick and weak and could not eat much. I told this to the young Sasquatch and pleaded with him to take me back to my own people. At first he got very angry, as did his father and mother, but I kept on pleading with them, telling them I wished to see my own people again before I died. I really was ill, and I suppose they could see that for themselves, because one day after I cried for a long time, the young Sasquatch went outside and returned with a leaf full of tree gum. With this he stuck down my eyelids as he had done before, then again lifted me to his big shoulder. The return journey was like a very bad dream, for I was lightheaded and in much pain. When we recrossed the wide river, I was almost swept away. I was too weak to cling to the young Sasquatch, but he held me with one hand and swam with the other. Close to my home, he put me down and gently removed the tree gum from my eyelids. When he saw that I could see again, he shook his head sadly, pointed to my house, and then turned back into the forest. My people were all wildly excited when I stumbled back into the house, for they had long ago given me up as dead. But I was too sick and weak to talk. I just managed to crawl into bed, and that night gave birth to a child. The little one lived only a few hours, for which I have always been thankful. I hope that never again shall I see a Sasquatch. So Serapine's long story, for what it's worth, is the only one of its kind by a First Nation woman in the last century who bore witness personally to her ordeal. And this sort of thing, or any mention of sex, was not an acceptable conversation in those days, and had Burns, who took the story, seen fit not to publish her account, we would never have known about any of it other than the Sasquatch behavior she mentioned, to include animal skins, fire, and what they ate. So, a few more details here. Seraphine testified her abductor felt his way along a tunnel wall. So it sounds like she was underground at that point. This could be an answer to why we can't usually find the Sasquatch. They could be living underground. This course has long been suspected by serious researchers. Her testimony also indicates she heard people talking in a strange language, which of course indicates they have language. And then the other detail is that they actually had a small fire inside the cave. Strong indication that Sasquatch do use fire at least underground. Again, if they're using it on the surface, as the old legends indicate, we'd be finding their campfires and stuff. And then, it's a dead giveaway that they're there. So that's the gist of it, and that version of it was thanks to the de facto Sasquatch. And I encourage everybody to go get a copy of that. It's available free on PDF. You can get it online. Go check it out. It is quite the interesting read.
What was her timeline again?
I believe that was the 1800s, if I remember right.
Okay, so there was a situation around 1930, 1939, where another female was taken from the Chehalis Indian Reserve in Harrison Hot Springs. And they found her in a cave. After 4 months, the warriors went up and got her. That's the story I thought you were telling. And
nope.
And in this time, in that 4 months, she had forgotten her traditional language, was speaking Sasquatch, and when the warriors grabbed her, the Sasquatch chased them down the hill, down the mountains and through the creeks, same area where you were, through the Chehalis River, which does have some sketchy parts to it, and then down the Chehalis to the Chehalis Reserve. And when they got her there, everybody locked in their houses for 2 weeks because this Sasquatch was terrorizing the town because they had taken his wife. And this is where the legends go, even up on the Highway of Tears, where many First Nations people believe, Duke, that yes, there is probably multiple serial killers up there taking these innocent ladies off the highways, but there is also a strong belief that many of these young ladies who get taken are actually taken as Sasquatch wives.
Yep. And you hear that over the place in legendary. And of course, there's the Lafleur incident, which has been widely reported in Bigfoot circles, of Captain Lafleur, an infantry officer right around the Civil War period or shortly before it, having to help some natives who were having all of their kids kidnapped and eaten by local Sasquatch down there. And we did a bunch of investigation on that, and it turns out that story is not true. Somebody got a legend from a different tribe. They're actually a writer of children's books.
Right.
And they modified it and made interesting tale out of it. The actual story happened before white man ever showed up on the opposite side of Oklahoma to the Kiowa tribe. And what was happening is the Sasquatch were kidnapping their women. And they figured out where the top of this hill was, where they had their cave. They surrounded it with all their braves, came up the hill from every side, and massacred all of them.
Well, in this case, by the way, Seraphine Long was 1871. So we're looking at, almost 50 years, 60 years in between these incidents at Harrison Hot Springs. So it really doesn't surprise me. Duke, we got 1 minute left with you tonight. Please tell everybody where they can find World Bigfoot Radio.
Oh, you can find me on Brighteon, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and of course YouTube. I have support group on Facebook. I also have Montana Bigfoot Project on Facebook and World Bigfoot Central on MeWe, and I'm on TikTok. And I'm looking forward to having Dave on my show this coming weekend when he's in Vegas through the amazing power of pre-recording.
Isn't that beautiful?
And I'll be at a Bigfoot conference in Nebraska at the same time, so it's really going to be amazing.
Neither of us are going to be there, but we're going to be on the air at World Bigfoot Radio, man. It'll be a lot of fun. Duke, we will talk to you very, very soon, my friend. Thank you for being awesome for this show.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, we want to say thank you to Super Duke Sullivan. You know, not all heroes wear capes, but Duke wears a cape. Let's just be honest there. He totally does. Coming up next, we are going to have our rant of the week. Dave 101 time. This time, we're getting into the experiencers. How they're getting screwed again by the UFO community. We'll be back right after this. Hey, Duke, no offense, but you make one ugly witch, man.
This is my Gandalf hat, dude. Haven't you ever seen Lord of the Rings? I got this from him after he retired.
I've never, ever seen Lord of the Rings, and never seen X-Files, never seen Doctor Who, never seen Star Trek.
So you're comparing garbage to gold. Lord of the Rings was written by an Oxford English professor, not some garbage Hollywood TV writer.
Wow, just boom.
Yep, sorry, had to correct you on that one. It's your fault you missed it. Everybody else in the universe has seen it.
I know.
So anyway, Sunday, you got to get together with you on Sunday and get you recorded.
All right.
Keep that in mind.
All right. What time do you want to do it?
Anytime before, 8 Central, my show goes live, and I'm in the chat room with it. Which, by the way, Nate Rudd is the guest.
Nate Foot, who will be in Vegas with us.
Yeah. See how this is coming together, bizarrely, synchronicity-wise, like somebody planned it or something. You guys are going to have a blast. Wish I could be there with you.
Wow, dude, you know we want you there. But next year you can do it. We're going to do it again next year. I've already got people asking. They couldn't make it this year, but want to make it next year. So we are going to do it. We really are. And, it'll be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. I've never been to Vegas because I don't drink and I don't gamble, so there's very little attraction there. But I hear the food's good, and they have like shows and stuff. So,
oh, dude, just the sightseeing is incredible.
Now, I'd be one of those people that'd be trying to wander out in the desert and figure out where the Bigfoot are hiding in that area. I wouldn't even want to be in town.
Duke, I'm just going to say this once to you, man. You know, it's time for you to get out the white bell bottoms and the platform shoes and go cut a rug at some nightclub, man. It's time. Bring out that polyester brown shirt. You are going to be styling and profiling, buddy.
I'm about as styling as I can get right now with my ancient Hawkwind in Search of Space hoodie that I'm wearing at present. Lordy. Well, I'm just glad I made it on here. I was fighting with the computer up until 3 minutes after the top of the hour trying to get online. And I'm really glad it worked this long because I wasn't expecting it to.
Well, I appreciate you, buddy. You know I love you, man.
Yeah, same here, Dave. Looking forward to meeting you in person one of these damn days. If nothing else, maybe you can get down here this summer and come out with my team.
I'm hoping.
Meet some of the Montana gigantic Bigfoot that we got here.
I'm really, really hoping. How do you get into the forest? Are you riding up or are you driving up?
Oh, we drive up. You can. It's a horrible road. It's like driving one of those roads that clicks into the side of a cliff in Peru for about 10 miles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But then when you get in there, there's this nice little secluded valley that's right next to the, basically it's a pass through the mountain and it goes right next to this little valley. And, that's apparently where they like to hang out during the summer. So you can drive right into there up to the campsite. But then, when you want to actually go to see where there is something, then the horrible hiking starts.
Yeah, fuck that.
And the no trails.
Yeah.
And the going up and down really steep hills and over logs and around boulders and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, okay. So in other words, you'll be planting me with a rock burial after the first 100 yards. Thanks, buddy.
I think that's part of their amusement because even the tough mountain men here in Montana that are used to doing that kind of stuff are just like beat to crap by the end of the weekend. And they're dragging ass around the woods and the Sasquatch are sitting back there like,
oh, yeah. All right, you get the fuck off my show after that type of stuff.
It beats the shit out of us too, brother. It's all the guests get the shit beat out of them. We get the shit beat out of them. You know, you got 85 during the day and like 20 at night. So just the temperature beats the shit out of you.
Jesus. All right.
But it's worth it.
All right. Talk to you soon,
Love you,
buddy.
brother. Take
Love
care.
you too, man. We'll see you. Talk to you on the weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. The hell are you getting into there, Nicole? Oh, my gosh. Big thank you to Vaughn, Mennonite Abe, Catherine, Doug, and Liliopatra for the amazing super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. And thank you for your love and support of SOR. And Dave 101 coming up here momentarily. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate all of you tuning in. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time, once again, for, let's say, a little rant and rave here by old Davey. We call it the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
You are a liar. You're a liar, you're a liar, you're a liar. This is what many experiencers hear around the UFO, paranormal, supernatural world on a day.
When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
Spicy Chicken McNuggets are back. Now get a free 6-piece Spicy Chicken McNuggets with purchase of $1 or more. Offer only on the app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid once daily through 4:30 at participating McDonald's. App download and registration required.
When you need business mobility solutions that are more than just business as usual, you need Enterprise. A trusted partner, Enterprise has the expertise to help you go the extra mile. For the short term, for the long haul, and everywhere in between. So go with someone who thinks outside the box truck and get custom transportation solutions that maximize productivity, reliability, and savings. Go with Enterprise and start driving business.
Daily basis. I've experienced it myself numerous times when I've explained my stories when I'm being interviewed on podcasts, or when I've even shared my stories on this very show. Why? Because people don't want to believe. They always want to say, where's the proof? Where's your photographs? Where is your video? Well, let's see. If I brought that out to you, you wouldn't believe it anyways. Because Photoshop, CGI, and many other editing versions that are out there that could really take away anything that you caught. No, there isn't a nice way to put this. It sucks being an experiencer right now. You are in a can't-win situation, sometimes even within your own crowd. Too many times over the last couple of years since we segregated UFOs to UAP and UAP with aliens, because we're not allowed to bring them in, we have seen a turning of the tides regarding the experiencer. First off, we have to explain what an experiencer is. It is someone who has had contact or some sort of visionary or mental capability of having interaction with everything from UFOs to cryptids like Sasquatch or ghosts or anything in between. It's not viewing from your patio a set of lights flying through the sky. No, that's just a sighting. The experiencer is someone who is affected daily by what has happened to them. They don't know why they were chosen. They don't know why they've woken up with headaches or nosebleeds or something worse. Sometimes something better. Downloads, which can be very intriguing. Here we go, though. The experiencer is the forgotten soul of ufology. And I have been saying that for the last couple of years, until recently, as you've heard us talk on this show earlier this week with Science Bob and Nicole Sackage, about the DIRDS report coming out of the Department of Intelligence, the DIA, in Washington, D.C., at the Pentagon, explaining how they have looked into cases regarding UFO contact with people and the side effects that some people have had with those encounters. So here's the ugly part of ufology that I do not like. There is a crowd of skeptics out there, along with the non-believers, who continually decide that they are going to call all experiencers liars, cheats, thieves, people who are looking for their 5, 10, 15, 17, 18 and a half minutes of fame, trying to make a buck off of what they've gone through. Maybe a Hollywood movie like Travis Walton, even though he wasn't paid in millions. And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how much you explain it until you're blue in the face, they don't believe you. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating for many people in this community because so many people have had experiences and they do not know where to turn to share and learn. They come to the UFO community because they want to feel and figure out what is happening to them. It really is an innocent yet impossible question to answer. Yet, if you go on Twitter, you will see multitudes of people, some may even say a plethora of people, who are absolutely insulting the experiencers and the government of the United States, which has allegedly looked into these cases. Look, making fun of anal probes or people getting pregnant and then showing no signs of a baby in their stomach, that is traumatic. It is nothing to be laughed at when certain experiencers are having the phenomena happen to them. I know people who I've interviewed on this show, Karina Sables to name one, who has not been able to hold down a job in 20 years after seeing a black triangle in Aldergrove, British Columbia in the 1990s. And to this day, it affects her. How do you claim to not work? How do you tell your government officials at the unemployment desk or maybe welfare or wherever it may be that I cannot work because aliens take me? And yet the only community that they can sit there and try and bond with to learn about maybe something that is happening to them shuns them because you're a liar. Too many times we are hearing this word liar as an excuse for proof or lack thereof. And like I said to Science Bob and Nicole the other night on the show, what is proof? Because one of the things that upsets people, whether it's looking into the government, looking into these situations, or the experiencers themselves, is everything is anecdotal. It's a story that comes from memory, and everybody knows our human memories are not 100% perfect. But they aren't 100% wrong either. Look, for those who have had horrific experiences, these nightmares are very real. The scarring is very real. The dreams of sorts, which we want to write it off to, of aliens taking you and injecting needles into your eyeballs or your skin or your feet or your genitals, is not very fun for those who've experienced it. Yet there is a crowd out there who, because there is no physical proof of a video, a photograph, or anything of the sort, medical records, they call you a liar. Now, there has to be a time when somebody stands up to that, because when you ask the question, what is proof? You get people saying, well, it's empirical evidence that needs to be found on the subject. We need to scientifically be able to conduct experimentation on these phenomena. Well, that's happening at Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. Well, we don't believe what's happening there. That's a scam, even though they've never been there. I've had people come up to me calling me a liar when I've been on other shows, and I remember one time when I was explaining my story with the alien in the forest, and Samantha Mowat and I were there. I asked the person point blank. I stopped the interview where I had to look into the chat room and ask this person, were you there? Because I didn't see you there. Do you even know where Mission, British Columbia is, where this incident happened? They went silent until I started talking again, and then I was a liar once again. We're throwing around terms like liar and cheaters, snake oil salesman, like there's no tomorrow. It really shows what's happening in society these days, where just because you have a differing point of view, you can be called a racist, a Nazi, or any other kind of derogatory name-calling like that, because it's easy these days. It's easy. And the people who are using those don't care who they offend. Well, for the experiencers out there, they are offended. We are offended. And we're tired of being ignored, especially when we are the scientific experimentations for the extraterrestrials themselves. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people every year who have something going on. Some of those people do not come back. We believe that they are taken by ETs and never seen on this planet again. Sure, that sounds like science fiction, but if you break down the FBI numbers, in the United States alone, there are 65,000 people annually who are unaccountable. They have just vanished off of this planet. And yet we're liars. I don't know about you, but I try and tell the truth every chance I get. That's how I build credibility for Spaced Out Radio. I have interviewed hundreds of experiencers over the 7 years of this show, and only about 3 times during that time, I would say somebody wasn't telling the full truth, and the story sounded very made up. We do need our own discernment of what is right and what is wrong. We do need to be our own skeptics. We do need to question what has happened to us as experiencers. But what we don't need is somebody who wasn't there, who isn't around, who isn't even an experiencer telling us what happened to us. Do you think that we want this to happen? The majority of experiencers out there would love to have their happily boring life back. But they can't, because the incidents were too traumatic, whether they were positive or negative, or they continue on to this day. And it hurts people to think that all they want to know is why them, and yet they're liars in their own community. So the question is, once again, what is proof? Everybody's proof is different. You listening out there, your proof is different than mine. This is sounding like a broken record because I've said this numerous times on this show. The idea behind it is, in a perfect world, we would have some sort of evidence to go along and corroborate the story. 99.9% of the time we don't. The other problem that we have is too many people who've never experienced the phenomena themselves are giving their points of view on whether or not these experiences are real. Personally, I think they should shut their mouths. I think that they really need to take a step back and say, look, I may not believe what's happened to you, but if that's your story, what would you do if it did happen? How would you handle it? It's confusing for anybody to try and figure out that this phenomena is happening, more so to those who've experienced the phenomena. And trust me when I say this, if I had a choice to have the phenomena not happen to me, I would choose that 100% of the time, just like the majority of them out there. But you know what about experiencers? We keep looking for more. We want that extra sighting of Sasquatch. We want those paranormal sightings to happen. We want the aliens to come back because we want to confirm for ourselves that we are not crazy because our own community has already shunned us. So for those out there who are continually condemning the experiencers, let me tell you, your opinion doesn't matter. You've never experienced what we have. And just because, scientifically speaking, there is no evidence or proof that we've experienced what we have, does not mean it hasn't happened. You don't have to believe it. But the advice that I would give you from an experiencer is this. If you've never experienced anything, you have no right to explain to experiencers what's going on with them, because they know more than you. And that is your Dave 101. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, let's start off in the medical field here. Now, this is a true story. Plenty of people have credited rock and roll with saving their lives, but a new study now backs up the cliche with some astounding findings with regards to the role music plays in an operating room. A study called Effect of Genre and Amplitude of Music During Laparoscopic Surgery, carried out by researchers at Heidelberg University in Germany, suggests that surgeons' speed and accuracy could be improved if they turn up AC/DC in the operating room. Horns up for this, people. Go for it, doctors. You know, when I'm in an operating room now, the first thing I'm going to ask is, do you have some Thunderstruck, Back in Black, Highway to Hell, Whole Lot of Rosie, and anything in the Bon Scott era ready to push this surgery forward? This is what they say. Laparoscopic surgery is a minimally invasive surgery technique in which doctors insert narrow tubes into the abdomen. Surgeons then use those tubes to manipulate, cut, or sew tissue, sparing patients the trauma of recovering from larger incisions. Researchers observe surgeons at work with no music, then they observed them with some AC/DC, they started off with soft rock like the Beatles or hard rock like AC/DC. Playing at varying volumes as well. The surgeons who performed the fastest, most precise surgeries were rocking it out with their horns up with AC/DC cranked at not 9, not 10, but 11. In general, surgeons perform better with their rock and roll other than silence. The only exception was when the Beatles were played at high volume, Who knows what this means for the future of medicine, but it's more evidence that rock and roll is more than just noise pollution. Rock and roll will never die, because if you're in the operating room, your chances of survival now go up with a little Angus and AC/DC. A streaker who got absolutely wrecked by security at an Australian rugby league game got a double whammy after she was also dumped by her boyfriend in brutal fashion after he saw her antics. Javon Johnson decided that she'd fulfill her lifelong dream of running onto the pitch at a major sporting event and got onto the field during an NRL game between the Gold Coast Titans and Parramatta Eels on Saturday. Johnson, wearing only her bra and jeans, ran straight onto the playing surface and started to amble around before security guards finally flattened her with a nice tackle. She also claims her boyfriend saw what she had done and sent her a text message breaking up with her, saying that she was an idiot and a disgrace. The pitch invader went onto her social media to share a screenshot of the text, which read, "You're an idiot and a disgrace. Thank you for an absolute embarrassment. Don't try contacting me." She posted it on TikTok. Boy, does she want publicity or what? She posted on TikTok, "When your man doesn't come to the footy, but wakes up to this?" For those unfamiliar, Australians call rugby footy. The whole incident was clearly something of a long-standing ambition for Johnson, as she reportedly shared a TikTok just before she invaded the field saying, "One of my actual biggest goals in life has been to actually run onto the football field, and I'm going to do this. Ready? I'm going to." Soon after, the Eels scored to take a 24-16 lead. Near the end of the match, she hopped onto the field and ran about before getting tackled. Some people have claimed that she was hit too hard in the tackle. We're saying it was just fine. And being an idiot costs you your boyfriend as well. Indonesian social media shows a video gone viral of a local sitting in a police station. So what's wrong with that? The man bought the pot, reported a crime after purchasing the illegal substance. Yeah, but it wasn't pot. He holds a mysterious piece of paper which contained the supposed drugs he bought. However, what the man bought in search of marijuana was not what he wanted at all. It was dried out celery leaves and some normal grass thrown into there too, just to make sure. Yet, he was very, very offended that his pot was actually celery and good for him if he puffed it on down. According to the translation, "I bought it for 50,000 rupees, or £2, or about $1.50 or $2.50 American. Police began to question him. They asked if he knew that the marijuana he meant to buy was a drug or not. They asked him how many times he had used the drug. And you know what? Eventually, they laughed it off. They released him out of embarrassment. And finally, Guinness World Records announced the world's tallest family, a Minnesota clan of 5 with the average height of 6 feet, 8.03 inches. The record-keeping organization said the Trapp family of Esco was officially dubbed the world's tallest family after being measured by orthopedics doctors. Parents Scott, 6'8", and Chrissy, 6'3", passed their genes on to their children. Savannah, 6'8", Molly, 6'6", and Adam, 7.3 inches tall. That is one big family. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the news. Thank you to Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio, Swamp Dweller, and of course our guest Tom Matty talking about his incredible book tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, We own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
Spicy Chicken McNuggets are back. Now get a free 6-piece Spicy Chicken McNuggets with purchase of $1 or more. Offer only on the app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid once daily through 4:30 at participating McDonald's. App download and registration required.
I offer free samples to look cool on the outside, but here on the inside, I'm stressing over payroll for my new kombucha brewery. Heyo, your voice of reason popping in to say that with QuickBooks, you can run payroll in as little as 5 minutes. Did you say 5 minutes? Sure did. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a train of thought to catch. Wait, before you go. Yes? Tips on getting paid? With QuickBooks, you can send your first invoice in 3 easy steps. Now that's peace of mind.
New business, no problem. Success starts with Intuit QuickBooks. 5-minute time period based on medium time spent by payroll users. Profile must be set up prior to sending an invoice.